It was an autumn day. In a secluded corner, a large mansion stood among the trees with golden leaves. Its snow-white walls contrasted with the dark, curved roof. The girl approached her brother to wonder if he and her father were supporting the attack on the Mu family. This girl's name was Zhen Qi. She knew that a non-aggression order had been issued, but now that order had been broken, so the standing point was who would now cooperate with them. Zhenbei refilled the wine in his glass. Right now, people were already going crazy. He thought that these guys from the Mu family were worthless, so they could just finish them off. Zhen Qi wanted to oppose this decision. In response, Zhenbei wondered if she was still thinking about that trash named Mu Feng Chen. There was no need to worry because that guy wouldn't bother her anymore because her brother had killed him. She couldn't believe he'd actually killed that man. Mu Chen Feng didn't have any power anyway. He is an illegitimate child after all, so no one would even pay attention to the fact that he died. And if the Mu family had a head on their shoulders, they would continue to cooperate with their family. Father has already decided to marry the girl with the Van family anyway, which means she will soon become a daughter-in-law. But it was also true that Zhen Qi didn't want to get married. Zhenbei reminded that sisters should have status in society. A little while later, it was already dark. The guy who was lying on the ground suddenly opened his eyes. He didn't even expect that upon arriving at the Blue Star, the past body owner's past body owner would also be called Mu Chenfeng. He was originally a celestial and had reached the highest level of celestials in less than 1,000 years. Then the man found the source of the Tao and passed into the highest realm of Taoism. However, he was suddenly attacked by 3 supreme celestials who demanded to give up the source. Tao. Although Chen Feng had killed a couple of supreme celestials, his body was dead. However, only one piece of his soul had survived. He had heard that the Blue Star had a low energy level, but he hadn't expected it to be so low. He had heard that the Blue Star was low on energy, but he hadn't expected it to be this low. If he got the body of the past owner, it meant that he got his entire life as well. So he was determined to take revenge and protect the family of the body's past owner's family. And when he did so, he would return to the Celestials. He was walking down a crowded street and heard a woman screaming. The girl claimed to be from the Mu family. This girl was surrounded by 3 men. There are few religious people in Blue Star, so you can often see such pictures. This girl's name is Ji Yu Ling. She is 18 years old, and of course, these men knew that she was from the Mu family. And since she is walking here late at night, she might be looking for her brother. Yu Ling asked to be let go. After all, she was busy looking for the master. However, the man didn't even think of calling that illegitimate child that way. He started to pull up her skirt. This girl is so hot, so he wanted to inspect her beautiful body. She immediately lowered her skirt, not understanding what the man was doing. But he replied that it was what other men like to do, and Chen Feng intervened in this situation, noticing that there are several guys here and only one girl. They're bullying her, and it's a pretty horrible thing to do. The man mentioned that this was the Zhen family's business, so he should leave this place. Cheng Feng didn't think of leaving her so quickly. After all, this girl was looking for her in the middle of the night, and they didn't just start hitting on her. And they didn't even ask for his opinion. Yuling was happy that she had finally found a master. The blonde man really pissed off the main character, so he demanded to be kicked out of here. 2 men came out at him, who thought it was his own fault that he had provoked those who should not have been provoked by his actions. So he'd better not get involved, or they wouldn't be responsible for themselves. The man in the purple hoodie swung a pipe at him, while the other man wanted to punch him with his fist. Chen Feng was amused by Togo that this bunch of street thugs thought they could compare to a celestial. And since they didn't really believe his words, he decided to show it with actions. He grabbed the second man by the throat. He began to choke. Cheng Feng remembered their words that they wanted to beat him. So why are they so weak? The man's entire body was shaking, for he couldn't believe that this illegitimate boy was able to do such a thing with just people. He mentioned that his cousin Zhenbei who would deal with him. Cheng Feng of course knew that he was from the Zhen family, but it was only empty words. He wanted to reassure his sister, saying that she was scared then, but everything was fine now, so she shouldn't worry. She immediately hugged him, and even thought that guy was going to start bullying her. Cheng Feng felt that she has a predisposition for Tao techniques. She has an innate talent. If trained well, she could become a celestial in the future. He stroked her head, telling her that she was safe now. And now they were going home. The girl told him that the gentleman's father was waiting for his return. Cheng Feng asked not to pay attention to this old man. Blondie was very angry about what the main character had done to him, so he wanted to make his life a living hell. He called his cousin back and explained that Mu Chen Feng had punched him in the face. and if he was punched in the face, it means that Zheng Bei was also punched. He might pass for a cousin after all. Where would he go then? He couldn't believe that he had been beaten up by Cheng Feng, after which he inquired about the bastard's whereabouts. After which, he was informed that the main character was in Tian'er Huafu. She was really pissed off that those useless bastards couldn't do anything on their own. He felt an unpleasant sensation, whereupon he pushed that girl away from him and put on his shorts. After which, he called back and said to quickly gather people in Tian'er Huafu, because there was a matter. Tian'er Huafu. She greeted her mother and also told her that Cheng Feng had returned. It was noticeable that the women were not in a good condition. She too noticed that a young master had come over, so she wanted to make him some tea. But she was stopped by Cheng Feng, who told her that he met Yu Ling on the street and immediately transferred her home. And since the woman is sick, he will make his own tea. She doesn't need to exert herself. 2 cars pulled up to the house and people got out. He had ordered his men to strike out, and if anything happened, he would take responsibility for it. Meanwhile, Yu Ling made him some tea. The man kicked the door in with his foot. Zhen Bei was pleased that Mr. Mu was also here. Cheng Feng didn't understand how this person had the courage to show up here. The guy gave 30 seconds for him to take his men and get out of here. Zhen Bei didn't hear what Mr. Mu said, so he said to repeat it again. He turned to Yu Ling, complaining that it had gotten too noisy here. Therefore, she must go inside and stay with her auntie. She would not come out no matter what noise she heard. Yu Ling asked the master to be careful. Cheng Feng had already given the chance, but since he doesn't even want to take it, they can stay to drink tea. He ordered his men to kill the bastard. In just a couple of minutes, Zhen Bei was already offering tea to the young master. At the same time, his henchmen were already lying unconscious. Cheng Feng ordered him to sit on the floor, because it was uncomfortable to talk to him while looking up and down. His neck started to get stiff. He immediately sat down on the floor and thanked his brother. Cheng Feng asked how Zheng Bei saw the outcome of this event. He was willing to give 300,000 to appease his brother's anger, but Cheng Feng would back down if he was given 2 million. His interlocutor thought it was too much money. In that case, the protagonist didn't understand why they were bullying him since they can't even pull the consequences. That's why you suggested that those people go home for the money. He immediately shifted his anger to his subordinates, not understanding why they were still lying down. Zhen Bei cheerfully announced that the money would be coming right away. However, this person still didn't like Cheng Feng. His neck was sore, so he told his brother to massage it. He immediately went to the kid's back and asked if he was pushing hard, after which the protagonist noticed the message from the transfer of 2 million. Cheng Feng was satisfied that they had accomplished the task quickly. Therefore, he decided to let Zhen Bei go, but he should consider that next time, the protagonist would already demand more. Zhen Bei replied that there would be no next time. He went outside to his men. He didn't understand since when this brat had become so strong. The man asked Zheng Jr. if he wanted to call for more men. He slapped the man across the face, saying that if those useless brats had done anything at all, he wouldn't have humiliated himself in front of that guy like that. He would punish them for a very long time. Zheng's house. The butler informed Zhen Qi that the young master got into a conflict and came back in such a beaten-up state. Besides, he left at a loss because it cost him 2 million, and now his father is reprimanding him. Her dear brother is characterized by his ardor, so he should have been taught a lesson long ago. The girl wondered where Wu Xiaofan was going now. This girl is a favorite of the Wu family, so it is worth having a good relationship with her to maintain the friendship of the two families. The butler said that Xiaofan would arrive in Yuzhou in 8 hours and return to Yangbei in 3 days. She was originally in Yangdong. After that, Zhen Qi decided to have a chance encounter. Tian'er Huafu. Tem wished her a good rest. He even promised that no one would bother them from now on. Yu Ling asked that he stay with her, for she was scared to sleep alone. He'll leave after she falls asleep. Yu Ling asked him not to deceive her. He promised he wouldn't lie to her. The guy didn't really expect so many things to happen on the first day, but he had heard that there were some strange things being sold in Yadong, so he decided to go there tomorrow to look at it all. He didn't even know if he would be able to find something useful to restore his strength. Xiao Fan offered Uncle Chen to taste what she was eating, for it was delicious. Uncle Chen refused. After all, it was his duty to protect the mistress to feel her. She was bored of partying alone. She noticed a crowd of people and decided to see what was going on. Zhen Qi also noticed Xiao Fan approaching. She walked up to the girl, saying that she didn't even expect to meet young Miss Wu in Yuzhou here. Xiao Fan stepped back a little and asked who she was, and if she really knew this girl. Zhen Qi said that they met 3 years ago in Yanbei. If she has free time and at the same time Miss Wu came to Yuzhou, why don't they take a walk to Yadong? She agreed, for she was happy to have a local as her guide. The girl also told Uncle Cheng that Zhen Qi would go with them. Meanwhile, Cheng Feng and Yuling were also walking around here. Cheng Feng noticed a lot of antiques on it to him are just junk. Suddenly, he noticed a jade pendant that was very old and still contained a lot of energy. The kid asked the salesman if the pendant was for sale. The old man noted his good nose for such things. He explained that this pendant came from the Western Zhou dynasty, which existed thousands of years ago, and the price was 5 million. This pendant seems to be from a Western factory, and he would only buy it for 500, but surprisingly they were able to negotiate even for that price. Xiao Fan also noticed a beautiful pendant, and she wondered how much it was worth. Unfortunately, this pendant is not for sale, and the cost is 500 yuan. Zhen Qi immediately recognized this person. She knew that he was dead, so she didn't understand why he was still alive. She was very curious to know how he was able to survive, or if this was even the same Cheng Feng she knew. She approached the gentleman, offering to buy this pendant for 50,000. Of course, Chen Feng did not accept. She noticed that this guy seemed different. Then the two men left. Xiao Fan was not satisfied. Uncle Chen replied that he would fix it, so there was no need to worry. A little later he stopped the young man. He remembered that old man. It seemed that since he wouldn't sell the pendant, they had decided to take it away by force. He was ready to buy this pendant for 500,000. Meanwhile, the seller of the pendant began to cry when he heard such a price. The young gentleman bought this pendant for 500 yuan, but the old man would buy it for 500,000. Chen Feng took Yuling's hand and replied that this pendant was not for sale. He blocked the path to the protagonist, saying that Chen Feng would not be going anywhere from here today. Cheng Feng told Yuling to keep walking and he would catch up with her later. Her sister agreed, but she was still worried about him. It was noticeable that this old man was not going to back down. Uncle Chen felt that this young man needed to learn a lesson. Some people should not be denied by these very offenses. Life can be pretty brutal. Everyone was shocked by this old man's strength. They thought that the main character would definitely get it now, and you couldn't even do anything about it. Suddenly, the member put his finger to his throat, saying that he was not the kind of person who was going to offend others. Uncle Chen immediately stopped, not realizing who he even was. Xiao Fan and Zhen Qi were also watching this spectacle. Uncle Chen was one of the great masters, and almost no one was his equal. Therefore, Xiao Fan didn't understand what kind of power this was at all. Zhen Qi told her that it was the power of the Mu family's illegitimate son. She even took an interest in this illegitimate son. Since this young man doesn't want to give up the jade pendant, then the old man won't insist on it. Suddenly, Yuling's contact was displayed on the phone. As soon as they were separated, she was immediately forcibly taken to the Mu family. Swear words could be heard on the other side of the bell, after which the bell cut off. He realized from the voice that it was Mu Lei. Uncle Chen said that he studied at the Chenjin Martial Arts School, and his teacher was none other than the monk Huan Feng. This young man is capable, and he just happens to have a younger brother the same age as Chen Feng. Therefore, he really wanted to know where the protagonist studied. An ominous aura began to gather around him. Cheng Feng kindly told him that he didn't have time right now, and if anyone else interrupted him, he would kill that person. He even had goosebumps running down his back for a second. Xiao Feng said that uncle can go, and she found something quite interesting, so she would like to observe it. She parked near Cheng Feng and offered him a ride. The protagonist wondered why she was helping him. As it turned out, Xiao Fan liked this guy. In addition, he is still very strong. Zhen Qi thought that Chen Feng was the reason she was in trouble now. She ordered a car to be called here to Mu's house. After the lady returns to Yanbei, she will take revenge on the protagonist. Xiao Fan called him uncle, and also asked him to tell him the secret of training that caused him to have such staggering strength. Cheng Feng retracted his hand, and the girl noticed that uncle was not comfortable with such a thing. Mu's residence. He was stopped by the guards, who had orders from the young gentleman not to let anyone into the house. Of course, Cheng Feng didn't even think of listening to them, so he decided to make his own way into the house. Xiao Fan remarked that this guy was much better than Uncle Chen even. The old man replied that it was because of his young age. The young master wondered if this wench even knew what was going on in the family, and how dare she even insult Zhen Bei. Does she really want to kill the entire Mu family for a long time? She apologized to the young gentleman and also admitted her mistake. She really disliked being called young master, for apparently she had forgotten that there was only one master here. He even threatened to kill her. At the same time, Cheng Feng appeared and said to get his dirty hands off this girl. He hit Yu Ling, not realizing who the bastard thought he was. A man can hit anyone in the husband family. The protagonist immediately ran up to the bastard, after which he punched him to throw him away from Yu Ling. Since he had slapped Yu Ling, Cheng Feng had broken his arm. The protagonist thought it was pretty fair. The rest of the relatives rallied against Chen Feng. They didn't understand how he was able to raise his hand against his brother. He is just an animal that is not part of the Mu family. An old man came down who thought it was just a couple of mindless bandits outside, and they were already making a fuss here. It was the head of the Mu family. He hasn't even died yet, and these relatives are making new events to gossip about. Cheng Feng realizes that it is an old man elder, and he didn't want to fight him. The doctor reported that the young gentleman had sustained several fractures, and his health would be affected. Muley demanded that Grandpa kill the bastard. Grandpa is a martial arts master, so Chen Feng is not his equal, and can be considered dead already. And after that punch, his body was all sore. The head of the Mu family demanded that the protagonist kneel down and obey him. Cheng Feng wondered if this old man really thought he was worthy of kneeling. He was really angry that this guy forgot who was in charge in the Mu family. Uncle Chen asked the head of the family not to start a fight. The old man inquired who else he was. People come and go. After all, they weren't even expecting these people. Uncle Chen introduced himself and also mentioned that he was from the Yanbei family. The head of the family, we heard that he was ranked 43rd in the heads of the Dragon Country, so we didn't understand why he cared about the Mu family. It was also Xiao Fan who caught his attention. He didn't even know who she was. Xiao Fan decided to say a few words in defense of this young man. They asked Ms. Wu to say whatever she wanted. The man even offered to prepare a VIP room for her. Mu Lei didn't understand why someone as rich as Wu Xiao Fan had come to them. If he won her hand, he could become the new head of the family. She explained that this man would not be respected in the Mu family, for he had beaten the future head and disrespected the elders. This person really deserves to die. Mu Lei confirmed Mrs. Wu's words that he really deserved to die. But somehow he has the Mu family's blood in him, so just killing him is too inhumane. She suggested just expelling him from the Mu family. The head of the family heard the young mistress' word, so he agreed not to kill him. However, he still has to kneel down, and from now on, Chen Feng will have nothing to do with the Mu family. Cheng Feng felt that this old man had no right to order him around. He really wanted to see where these antics of his would lead. Uncle Chen advised against attacking this young man if they wanted to stay alive. His younger brother is a martial arts master, and he is not even close to being worth hundreds of phenom. Of course, people didn't believe Uncle Chen's words. Xiao Fan only laughed. This bunch of idiots just took such a capable person and kicked him out of the family. Zhen Qi walked in there and didn't understand what was even going on here. At the same time, Xiao Fan suggested the protagonist to join the Wu family's house. There's no need to worry, because the Wu family is much smarter than the Mu family. These events really shocked her. The head of the family thought it was somehow wrong. He inquired about her relationship with the Mu family now. Xiao Fan felt that this was not the case. Cheng Feng just has to nod, and then the family will provide the necessary support and everything he could only dream of. She even oriented that within 3 years, he would get into the top management of the Dragon Country. Cheng Feng apologized, saying that he was not interested. The head of the family apologized to the protagonist, saying that there was a slight misunderstanding now. He apologized on behalf of the whole family. However, the guy can't turn a blind eye to what happened today. He agreed, but from now on, no one is allowed to interfere in his own affairs. The head of the Mu family agreed. In that case, he declared that from this day forward, Cheng Feng was the head of the Mu family. The main character apologized for refusing such a title. If he hadn't been reborn in this particular body, all of these people would be dead right now. Xiao Fan suddenly kissed his cheek. She recognized the kid as awesome, so they would communicate more often in the future. But right now, Cheng Feng was busy, so he offered to chat later. After that, she decided to leave with Uncle Chen. At the same time, Zhen Qi didn't realize what she had just missed. It was as if Xiao Fan began to taunt that not only was she blind on so much as a fool. What luck that they are now cooperating with this family. He advised Chen Feng to adore Ms. Wu. The old man also stated that they would not interfere in the couple's affairs. These two get married, then the status of family he will skyrocket. All the relatives immediately changed their opinion about the main character, saying that they always liked him. And from childhood, this guy had great potential. Cheng Feng wondered, since when did an old friend think he could decide everything for him? The one explained that he was doing it for the good of the protagonist. Cheng Feng replied that if treating him so horribly was for his good, then he didn't need it. That was his last warning. If they wanted to interfere in his affairs again, they had better think of the consequences beforehand. She noticed that Xiao Fan was very interested in Chen Feng. If they got to know each other better, it would also cost the Zhen family a lot of money. The girl stated that she wanted to talk to him. Cheng Feng replied that he was not interested. She remembered the very moment when Chen Feng had asked her to go out with him because he liked this girl. But at that time, she had said that she was not interested. It could now be seen that he had definitely changed. Of course, Cheng Feng didn't give up his attempts to ask her out, even calling her out for a movie. But at that time, she replied that she was busy. Yu Ling didn't understand his motives either, after all. He used to like this girl before. Cheng Feng remembered how she was very cold towards him. Also, she can't even control herself. So it's better not to deal with her. Or you won't know what to expect from her. But Yu Ling didn't realize that. The guy advised him not to dwell on it. Since Chen Feng had some free time, she offered to discuss what would happen between them. Yu Ling thought that Xiao Fan was a very nice girl, so she was sure that they would get along. Xiao Fan added that she was also very pretty, so he should think hard. Cheng Feng thought it was better for them to remain friends. She didn't like that he was so cold towards her, but she likes it better when he treats her coldly. Xiao Fan is the only daughter to the Wu family, so she better not waste her precious time on him. Doesn't she have enough guys in her life? She could see that this guy was serious, but she might still have a chance. Cheng Feng asked what she wanted. She exchanged contacts with him, after which, Xiao Fan told him to call any time, for she would be waiting. Behind them was Zhen Qi, who told Mu Qianfeng to stop. Cheng Feng asked for Yu Ling to wait for him at the entrance. Mu Lei wished that the protagonist would finally die. He didn't even realize what awaited him if he agreed to date Madame Wu. The boy asked the mistress to wait. The girl turned and asked if something was wrong. He suggested that she stay a couple more days at the family villa of the Mu family. He had heard that idiot's reply to Madame. Therefore, the guy thought that it would be better if Xiao Fan went out with him. The girl asked disdainfully if he was a complete idiot. But he called Cheng Feng an idiot because he was the illegitimate son. And unlike that idiot, Mu Lei is the legitimate heir in his family. If that idiot were to be with Madame Wu, it would not lead to anything good. After all, she will only lose her reputation, so he thinks he's worthy of her attention. So she asked for Grandpa's honor to have his other shoulder broken as well. His whole body was shaking and he begged not to. After that, only screams could be heard. Other relatives came running to the screams, eager to find out what was going on here. Mu Qingfeng has robbed him of everything. Therefore, he won't let go of the guy so easily, and will find a way to kill him. Xiao Fan wondered who he thought he was for daring to suggest such a thing. Uncle Than admitted that the Mu family were really idiots. She called back to her father and informed her that she would not be returning to Yanbei this year. She was also happy to report that she had found him a son-in-law in Yuzhou. Zhen Qi also noticed that this guy was no longer the same as before. The guy explained that it was the past, and to live in the past is not to live at all. She didn't understand what Cheng Feng was talking about. Meanwhile, Cheng Feng looked at his phone and saw Xiao Fan's post. Zhen Qi talked all about how this guy used to swear his love to her before, and now he suddenly decided to ignore her. Cheng Feng replied that it was like that before, but now he was completely different. And since he had nothing to talk to her about, he decided to leave. She touched his hand, asking for help. The girl really wanted to get close to Wu Xiaofan. Once again, she was convinced that this guy wasn't at all what he used to be. Cheng Feng wondered if this was how a person who needed help should ask. If he helps her meet Mrs. Wu, she'll take him out to dinner in return. And a movie. But she'll only allocate 1 day for him, so no need to count on traveling or anything like that. The girl thought that Cheng Feng would resist such an offer to me. The protagonist replied that he wasn't interested at all. Zhen Qi didn't understand how he could say such a thing. Cheng Feng suggested that if she gave him 10 million, he would be willing to arrange a meeting with Mrs. Wu. And he wouldn't agree to anything less. She yelled at him not to overreact, that he was even glad if she would agree, because he wouldn't even lose anything from it. However, for 10 million, Zhen Qi would get the opportunity to befriend the Wu family. And for the Zhen family, that should be a plus. He wants to get 10 million for it, but he doesn't want to invite her to the restaurant. Cheng Feng now realized that she was either deaf or dumb. The girl said that she would forward both the money within half an hour, and she expects the result by evening. The protagonist thanked Ms. Zheng for the 10 million. That bastard shouldn't even dare trick her. She didn't understand why her brother was still the deputy head of the family, if he was getting into all sorts of trouble. The man reasoned that if she married, she would no longer be part of the Zhen family. No matter how hard she tries, she can't even get a single word of approval from her own father. He told her to leave the room. Zhen Qi wanted to prove to him that he would regret the decisions he made today. She will do anything to become whiter to the Wu family and get their support. He noticed Xiaofan waiting for him along with Yu Ling. Chen Feng asked why they hadn't left yet. Xiaofan replied that they were waiting for him here. It's so far away that it's better to take a cab. Therefore, she suggested that they should finally get in already so that they could go to the city. After which, they hit the road. The girl was very curious to know what he thought of them after all. The main character asked Ms. Wu to have some respect for himself. He was just a random passerby after all. If she didn't know this guy so well, she'd think he was just a brute. After which, a message was sent to his phone that 10 million had been transferred to his account. Xiaofan said that Zhen Qi asked to meet with her. The guy was surprised that she was aware of the whole situation. In the family, Wu are not stupid people, so they all understand what's what. How inheritance is passed on. If there are no men in the family, it goes to the girl. It's been that way since ancient times. It's not just the Wu family that has such traditions. Old traditions are a tumor in society. People are blinded by power and inheritance and fall into a pit they can't get out of. She hugged him, for she felt that the poor brother also remembered his own experience. She happily even offered to marry him. Once they are married, Wu's entire family will be under his sole control. No one would dare to insult him or harm him. He pulled her away and sat down not to think too much. Did she really think the Wu family would be willing to put such a huge responsibility on him? If anyone dared to doubt Chen Feng, they would immediately regret their decision. Xiaofan had read that Chen Feng's brother, Chen Feng, was a very good person with a great character. She simply adored him. The protagonist asked her not to say that in the future, because he was still a member of the family, Chen. She also shouldn't be talking nonsense. He got the money, so he needs an answer if she agrees or not. She could indeed have lunch with that girl tomorrow. But in that case, how would Cheng Feng thank her? Xiaofan also noticed the main character's strong body. He immediately covered himself, talking about how it wasn't just his body, but his entire skill set. Chen Feng wrote a message that Zhen Qi will meet with Wu Xiaofan tomorrow at lunchtime. At the same time, the girl offered to go shopping with her tomorrow, because he has a strong body, so he will be able to carry a lot of bags. Chen Feng mentioned that his strength wasn't for this, after which he refused. He didn't like that Cheng Feng suddenly decided that he had the power to strip Mulei of everything. Therefore, Fake Xin would massacre him. Xiao Hu, who was the head of the Fake Xinhui Club, thought that when Xiaofan came to Yuzhou, he wanted someone to arrange a chance meeting for them. He even visualized in his head this meeting. There, Xiaofan was saying that it was fate, so she was willing to marry Xiao Hu. A subordinate arrived with news about Ms. Wu. Apparently, she was at the Mu family's villa with some guy, and now they're on a shopping spree at the mall. He was very angry when he heard about the idiot who dared to touch his Xiaofan. The subordinates said it was Mu Cheng Feng. Someone had now sent a request for 10 million for his head. Xiao Hu was even curious to know who it was. The man happily announced that it was his younger brother, namely Mu Lei. It's very interesting to watch family feuds. He asked to be told that Fenson would take the case. However, they are demanding more money for it. Xiaofan wanted to treat the protagonist to some tea and milk. Cheng Feng asked if she had even seen how many things she had bought. The girl replied that she hadn't seen it. Suddenly he felt someone following them. He grabbed her hand and she wondered what was wrong. The guy couldn't answer and said to just follow him. The girl was watching them, expecting such a reaction from a man who was in trouble with the head himself. He was indeed very cautious. The question is whether they can escape at all. A little later, Xiaofan herself also realized that they were being followed. She wanted to get away from them as soon as possible. However, this can no longer be done. The woman mentioned that their target was not Madame Wu, but Mu Cheng Feng. So it would be better if Madame went home alone right now. She immediately guessed that it was Fake Xinghui's organization. Xiaofan also wondered who authorized them to infringe on her friend. In that case, let the name be Xiao Hu. The woman replied that it was just business. Who did you pay for Cheng Feng as head? Therefore, Mrs. Wu should not take the situation personally. Xiaofan stated that if they even lay a finger on him, the Wu family would not spare them. Xiao Hu walked over there and asked if this underdog was worth her nerve. Xiaofan, of course, did not know this person by sight. But she remembered that they had seen each other once at her grandfather's birthday party. It seems that those who shouldn't be here are flocking here, so he suggested that Ms. Wu should go from here. Xiaofan kicked him while talking about helping him in general. After all, he should have been aware that the Mu family would protect him from Fei Qinghui. Xiao Hu didn't understand why Xiaofan loved him so much. He wanted to receive her love too, right? The town's protagonist has stated that there is no one in this world who can kill him. Xiao Hu liked this attitude. Therefore, he really wanted to see just how good this guy was at fighting. But it was only worth it for this man to attack. But Chen Feng tripped him up. He didn't exude much patience for all of this. If Xiao Hu met a true martial arts master, that master would immediately finish him off. Therefore, the protagonist wanted to spare him from the upcoming exercise. The man quickly stood up, speaking of Mu Cheng Feng's death. Another man arrived there and informed his student that if he unclasped his hands again, the teacher would be angry. Lun Huashen. The two masters were discussing the news of Che Xiaozi, who was saying that Yuzhou had a young master. There are so many masters these days. His ancestors had passed down a vast amount of knowledge. So let this brat just try to engage them in battle. Master doesn't want them to bother him unnecessarily. That's why he called Chen Xiaozi with him. There shouldn't be any problems. He offered not to talk about it. The main thing was that he himself was able to become much stronger than his mentor. The old man speaks correctly. He also mentioned that his disciple had reached the 8th level in the Circle of Celestials. A little more, and the disciple could become a reborn Kui energy cultivator. He didn't want to hear that nonsense. Afterwards, he took out his phone and offered to play one-on-one. The student wants to challenge him to a duel, but the teacher doesn't want to fight. But this time, the student is not going to be a snot. While the two fought, the others watched the energy splintering around the place. The master and mentor were so enthusiastic that their aura was just bursting out. It turns out that a few days ago, the master had played a game and was unable to defeat the dual mentors. After that, he almost lost his mind. The disciples decided to hurry up and get out of here before the master decided to take out his anger on them. Uncle Chen offered to leave with Madam. Xiao Fan wondered what to do with the two of them. The master and mentor are already on top of things. Xiao Hu couldn't believe this nonsense. Would master and mentor really be bothered by such a brat? Uncle Chen must be just mocking them. Suddenly his mentor called back to him. Afterward, his mentor informed him of his decision. It was really hard to believe. In the end, there was nothing left for him to do but accept that decision and back off. He apologized to Reverse Mu for the misunderstanding. Sometimes misunderstandings happen in life, so he decided to compensate him. But he did not want this apology. Let him better say who hired him, and Cheng Feng would forget about this misunderstanding. He demanded that Chen Feng was overreacting. Fake Shenhui never gives away his clients. With his strength, he pulled Xiao Hu to him and grabbed him by the throat. Cheng Feng gave him one last chance. Still, his body could take Dao energy from the sky, but in the city, this energy seemed to be in short supply already. Controlling the power of Dao is very difficult. He could have learned to do it if he had started practicing even before he was born. The man confessed that the main character was ordered by his own brother. In the end, Cheng Feng let the man go. After which, he threw a penny, saying that he had bought this information with money. Technical, he didn't break the rules of this organization. The Mu family's villa. He used his foot to open the door and walked straight into the office of the Mu family head. Cheng Feng recalled their words about not touching him. But suddenly, Mu Lei asked Fake Xinghui to kill him. Therefore, he was very curious to hear the family head's excuses. He demanded that this impertinent man be thrown out of here. His order was carried out. Cheng Feng inquired what kind of circus the old man had set up here. The old man asked not to worry, for he was sure to make excuses for it later. Even if his father reprimands him for secretly spending the family's money, he's still happy for Chen Feng to die. And the family's money isn't his money anyway, so it's okay. A man came running over there and informed his brother that Mu Cheng Feng was at the gate. His wineglass shattered. Mu Lei simply couldn't believe how this was possible. After all, Feng Xinghui had the best mercenaries. After that, two subordinates arrived there and grabbed the guy, saying that the head of the family had asked to bring him here, because the head of their family left for Yanbei. Everyone is now trying to play tricks on each other. They even dared to humiliate her son. She'll go to any lengths to find out who did it. Meanwhile, the head of the family interrogated the guy, asking about whether he had hired the men from Feng Xinghui. Mu Lei pleaded guilty. Whereupon the old man inquired how much he had paid. At first they asked for 10 million, but when they found out it was Mu Chen Feng, they asked to add another 10 on top. The head of the family couldn't even understand where he had gotten so much money. Afterwards, Mu Lei admitted that he had taken it from the family budget. He slapped the guy on the cheek, talking about how while the other head of the family was away, they decided to do such a thing surreptitiously. Mu Lei couldn't understand why they cared so much about this idiot Chen Feng. The old man only laughed. saying that he was indeed an excellent representative of the Mu family. He'll kill this guy, and then someone else will be the head of the family. A woman burst in, asking who dared to touch her son. She'd rather ask what her son had done, but she didn't care what he did. The most important thing was that he was her favorite son. She even started threatening the old man, saying that she would finish the old man off. Let only the head of the family come back. Then they will all see how this old man will dance. Did she really think the old man was scared? She opened her bottle, indicating that he would now have to pay for his actions. The old man asked what she wanted to do, and the main character was very interesting to watch all this. Those poor people are too funny. Suddenly, she wanted this old man to know the bitterness of losing a family member. He immediately demanded that a doctor be transferred here. Chen Feng didn't really like the fact that it was too difficult to deal with these people. After which, he grabbed his brother, talking about how he didn't want anything bad to happen to him. They jumped right out of the 4th floor. Xiao Hu asked his mentor what he thought about what Cheng Feng would do to Mu Lei. Mu Lei is probably already dead. Mentor asked in response why he thought so. That guy's a martial artist and a very high-level martial artist. Plus, they've got some family stuff going on. But Uncle Chen doesn't think so, for Chen Feng is not a murderer. If he wanted to kill a person, he would have done it on the same day, killing the entire Mu family in the villa. This means that things are starting to pick up. Mentor confirmed this hunch. Meanwhile, Cheng Feng asked the vendor if he had any stinky tofu sauce. The vendor replied that there was, but he didn't understand why they needed this sauce. Even pigs don't eat it. It just so happened that his stupid brother had drunk dichlorophos, and the stinky tofu sauce would help get rid of that problem. Mu Lei realized that for some reason, he couldn't even speak. The vendor realized the seriousness of the situation, so he didn't think of delaying the sauce. And if more was needed, he could bring some. Cheng Feng opened the man's mouth, saying that he was about to be helped now. He even covered his nose from the stench. The vendor started pouring sauce into it. It was stinky tofu, saying that at such an age, it was time to have a head on your shoulders and think about the consequences of your actions. A little while later, he finally drank the entire jar. The stench of the sauce was too strong, so Chen Feng thought that the seller had added something else to the recipe. But the man replied that it was just an ancient recipe from his ancestors. And just when he wanted to ask how much he should pay for it, the salesman left immediately. The old man along with Mu Lei's mother also came there. A woman backed us up and asked what the idiot had done to her son. Cheng Feng asked in response what she had done to her son. She had given him dichlorvos with her own hands, after which he punched her in the face. If Chen Feng hadn't caused this jerk to vomit, he would have died a long time ago. It was worth waiting for the head of the family to return. And then she would kill Chen Feng with her own hands, even if Mu Lei and his half-brother are still family. And just now, she almost killed her own son. In that case, she might be the one who gets killed. Let her think about it herself. The boy asked his grandfather what he thought of it. He ordered to take this woman back to the villa and not to let anyone in to see her at any time. They will decide everything when the head returns to Yuzhou. Mu Lei should be taken to a doctor. The rest of the men escorted the 2 men out at the old man's behest. After which the main character decided to leave, saying that the head of the family will now decide everything himself. Now that most of the problems are solved, he wants to teach that girl to control the Tao energy. Tian Yer Hanfu. He noticed that Yuling was sitting on the couch eating in chips. Yuling has nothing to do, so she just watched the drama. If she has nothing to do, it's for the best. Did he offer to go with him? He's sweating terribly, so he needs to change his clothes. Meanwhile, Yuling didn't realize what he was doing. This guy is changing his clothes and she saw that he has an insanely beautiful body. She was so uncomfortable with the situation. Afterward, the girl suggested that the gentleman take a shower. Cheng Feng replied that he would take a shower later, but now it was better to get down to business. Yuling was very worried. After all, she didn't even have any experience in this. It's everyone's first time, so no need to worry, as he will teach her everything. And the main character touched her belly and wondered how she was feeling right now. She felt that his hand was very warm. Yuling hoped he would forget to be gentle with her, because they said it could hurt. He immediately tapped her hard on the head, not sure what she was thinking to herself. He wondered what she was feeling in her body. Yuling has a promising talent, so he will just teach her the basics, and then she can fight off the bullies on her own. She should stop talking and just close her eyes and finally say what she feels. She lay back down, and the guy wondered again what she was feeling right now. It was as if Yuling could feel the entire world. He realized that the girl had a natural talent for developing Tao, so she could already feel the rhythm of the world. She should feel the spiritual energy in her now, and he will leave the room for now. No wonder people in this city enjoy eating chips so much. They're really good. He read the news and saw that the 1,000-year-old peach tree had been struck by lightning 9 times. He shouldn't miss such good material for energy storage. He heard a noise from upstairs. Yuling said the upstairs neighbors are renovating, but it's daytime. What are they drilling up there? The girl can't be distracted right now because she has to focus on meditation. She needs to go upstairs and deal with the situation soon. He knocked on the credibility and introduced himself as the downstairs neighbor. The door was opened by a man wearing only shorts. He asked rudely what the little brat wanted. Chung Feng explained that when entering the complex, the developer should have advised that repair work was prohibited until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He even laughed with Togo that the brat was getting into trouble. He'd better not let him get in the way of his work. If the man continues to talk then, Chen Feng has no choice but to report it to the police. The man replied that he could safely report it. They will just leave, and then he will continue with the repairs. He doesn't care about those guys. The protagonist notices that the brick this man is holding is not of the best quality. She started claiming it was a special red brick. He even thought that just one hit would be enough to make all of the main character's insides leak out. They could test it if he put his head up. But Chung Feng was easily able to chop that brick in half. His body began to hold on, for he didn't understand what this man wanted. He even decided to call the police back himself. In this country, the law is above everything, so this young man better not run into the police. Chung Feng had said that the brick was of poor quality, right? He called the police back and reported that he had been hit on the head with a brick. He also gave the location where they are now. Xiaohu noticed that it had been years since they had seen each other, so he thanked his mentor for the warm welcome. Uncle Chen asked if the head of Feng Xinghui wanted to pay for this meal himself. There are thousands of people in his organization who are waiting to be paid. I guess he only seems like such a cool person. When Xiaohu left the mountain, he vowed that he would not return there until he had a high status. Mentor mentioned that his uncle missed him. It had been a long time since they had seen each other. After which, they began to discuss the very news about the lightning striking the peach tree. Uncle wouldn't mind getting some special material from that tree. It's Uncle's birthday next month, so Xiaohu asked for help to get this material. He already knows that Lao Jun bought the tree. It was reported through all the official channels, so he wants to talk to him. Xiaohu offered to go together. After all, Lao Jun respects his mentor. Still, they would have to be careful. Mentor was sure that everyone who White Lotus had her eye on him too. Xiaohu will teach those sectarians a lesson. But the truth is, we still need to be vigilant. The peach tree had already been bought by Lao Jun, and if Chung Feng talked to him, he might be able to take a small piece for himself. If we don't have a fight, it'll be great. Suddenly, he noticed Xiaohu and Uncle Chen drive up here, and he was very curious to know what they were here for. Xiaohu wondered if this guy thought that he was allowed to do something and they weren't allowed to. He assumed the two had come here to get the peach tree that had been struck by lightning. This time, they don't want to fight because they came on behalf of their sect. The man really hoped that Chen Feng understood this. He's the one who's scared, of course. But they'd better not forget his own abilities. A temple minister came out to them. Mu Chen Feng greeted the temple attendant and also said that he had come here to meet Lao Jun. Xiao Hong also said that he and the mentor were from the same sect. Therefore, he asked if they could see Lao Jun. The master is aware of all their intentions to meet. He also told them that he didn't need so much of the wood that had been struck by lightning and was willing to give them half. How they will divide what they receive is none of their business. They will not interfere with it. The protagonist asked if the gentleman had said anything else. The temple attendant replied that that was all. The temple attendant asked not to ask too many questions about, and then he left, because he still had work to do in the temple. This man is smart after all. With just one sentence, Lao Jun got Lao out of the argument. And he's not a simple man himself. Chung Feng would also prefer to discuss splitting the parts instead of fighting. Xiaohu noticed that they had the advantage, so they shouldn't be ceremonious with him. But Chen Feng wasn't that easy either. It was better not to pounce and just split the tree in half. Uncle Chen inquired about how much he wanted to take it. Chung Feng wanted to take a piece of pole 2 meters long. However, Xiaohu can only give 1 meter V and that's it. Chung Feng agreed. After that, he felt someone approaching here. It was the teachers Se Li and Se Feng. This guy is very alert, and once even heard them from afar. However, they can discuss it all they want, but in the end, the tree will belong to the White Lotus sect. Chung Feng isn't really vigilant either. It's just that their breathing skills and techniques are just awful. Since there are 2 teachers here, the other guys will be here soon. After all, The people from the Lao Qiuzia temple are smart. They just decided to use them as cannon fodder. His mentor advised him to be careful with his choice of words. He called them just a mob and stupid sectarians. Xiao Hu is not afraid of them, so they can attack. He only laughed with Togo that they were called a mob and foolish sectarians. But neither were they afraid of this bold man. Chengfeng told him that now he didn't need that tree anymore, so let them deal with it somehow. The mentor asked what he meant. As it turned out, the protagonist just doesn't want to get involved in their squabbles. Xiao Hu advised his mentor not to waste time on him. He would steal that tree from under their noses later anyway. If Chengfeng helped them, they would give him 2 meters. But now Chengfeng wanted half of it. Xiao Hu agreed. He'll deal with the teachers and they have to take on the rest of the guys. The 2 men immediately attacked the protagonist, saying that he was about to die. But still, it was interesting to even see if he could even somewhat deal with the teachers and the White Lotus sect. They're brothers who have been inseparable since childhood. So as long as they're together, the great masters are no match for them. Chengfeng hit the 2 of them. He was disappointed with this fight. But the guy admitted that intimidating with words, they sure can do that. What can't be said about skill? Chengfeng said that he was done with his opponents, and asked how long they would be fighting for. Xiao Hu replied that the help were here too. Since he wants help, he has to say the magic word. The mentor mentioned that if they lost, the White Lotus sect would also come after Chengfeng. And if Chengfeng helps, he will give him 5 million yuan. Now he's really ready to get on the case. With just 1 punch, he was able to deal with all the attackers. Chengfeng reminded him to remember to transfer the 5 million into the account. He also suggested that they would now be able to finish off the remaining sectarians. Xiao Hu asked if this person could be stronger than their great mentor. Uncle Chen replied that this guy could even be stronger. He told his disciple to send people here to deal with the rest of the sectarians. Just as Xiao Hu wanted to call back to his men, something started flying at him. The man shouted that there were still people with the White Lotus sect here. Xiao Hu was able to dodge this strike. They would not be able to attack from the rear. But suddenly that weapon changed its direction, after which it pierced the guy's shoulder. He asked his mentor to be careful, for this man was clearly not a simple man. It was a saint from the White Lotus sect called Li Cixi. No one had ever escaped from her before. The man wondered if she thought she could defeat them that easily. Li Cixi asked if she could defeat this person and pointed at Chengfeng. The protagonist asked not to look at him like that, as he was just a passerby. He was so young and already a great master. That's rare. So the saint suggested he join the White Lotus sect. Her sisters would give him everything he could want. Then Fen replied that this girl was not his type. He's still too young, so he doesn't know what older women are capable of. Chengfeng mentioned that if she was thinking of being able to defeat them with this magic, it was better to already just go her own and not get in the way. Does he really want to go against the White Lotus sect? Since Chengfeng agreed to help for money, he would have to go all the way. He is a man of his word, but he can't fight with so many people. What a shame her sisters won't know what it's like to be with such a young and strong guy. But of course, the main character doesn't want these sissies to drink all the blood out of him, because his own body is important to him, unlike some people. After that, the kid noticed she was gone. She's pretty fast after all. At the same time, Li Cixi had already left in a car, saying that she had memorized him. They would meet again. The whole incident was filmed by a drone. Yuzhou Center. Now the co-workers had seen everything. Therefore, the man waited for their comments on Mu Chengfeng. Hu Hongli's general manager analyzed his fighting style. They could conclude that this guy had obtained the first level of key energy proficiency. But the information isn't quite clear yet. It's too strange. It's too simple. It's like he fell out of the sky. Lu Shen, who was the president, mentioned that their main goal for her was to bring order to the Dragon Country, not to research some guy's background. He'll need people to clean up the crime scene. He will also take care of journalists and news. He will relay the information to North Yang. As for Chengfeng, we need to find a way to talk to him, and if possible, get him to join the company. Although it's a crude version, it's pretty good since the power of thunder and lightning can be unleashed using spiritual power. For now, he'll use this. Chengfeng noticed that this car had been following him ever since he left that temple. It looked like he was being followed again. Hu Hongli told Master Lu that based on current observations, he confirms that this guy is an expert in the use of spiritual weapons. He will continue his study. After which he passed out, for he had been exposed. Chengfeng knocked and said, "This mister has been following him for a decent amount of time now. Perhaps it was time to stop doing that." Hu Hongli introduced himself as the general manager of a service company called Don't Work Overtime. He wanted to talk to this guy on behalf of the company. Chengfeng stated that he was not interested in the service business. And if they continue to follow him around, let them not blame him for being rude to them. Their hands almost touched. After which, he realized that that general manager possessed a spiritual weapon. So, he was very curious to know exactly who he was. They are actually a company that is affiliated with the departments of the Dragon Nation. They are responsible for maintaining social stability. Simply put, they guide independent people like Changfeng and resolve conflicts between major sects in the Dragon Country. The protagonist asked what they do with people who refuse to obey. The best of the elite work for the company. Moreover, times have changed. They also possess the latest technology. Changfeng is strong, but don't underestimate the strength of the company. In some ways, he even agreed with the general manager. Hu Hongli inquired, now that he wanted to talk to him. Changfeng shook his hand and offered to choose a place to talk. Yuzhou Center. Meanwhile, Xiaofan had met up with Zhen Qi. Since Zhen Qi had spent a fortune, she would have to come here. Zhen Qi offered to study the menu and say what she would choose then. She can't understand why it was Miss, who was trying so hard to give Xiaofan a treat. But it should be stopped before it is too late. The Wu family will never cooperate with the Zhen family. For some reason, she is relieved to hear her rejection. You don't have to work that hard. There are some things she can't control. Xiaofan realized that she also had no choice when making it difficult vitally for Mu Changfeng. Zhen Qi stated that he was never part of her future plans. All he did was wishful thinking. Xiaofan called her an idiot. The girl inquired as to what she meant. Xiaofan explained that Chen Feng was extremely strong. And with that, Zhen Qi should be in agreement. At least at this moment, he is the youngest master in the Dragon Nation. Before he became frustrated with Zhen Qi, she didn't seem to have realized his power. That's why she said that girl is just an idiot. Mu Chenfeng's potential is far greater than she can even imagine. And yet she still treats him like this. A feeling of regret is now pressing down on her. Zhen Qi didn't understand why she was exalting that guy so much. Changfeng spent years hiding his strength and suppressing his pride. Such patience and resilience is not given to everyone. At the very least, he is superior to Zhen Qi. The girl wondered if Xiaofan thought she was jumping to conclusions, but let him not rush to deny her words. If Zhen Qi had even half of his patience, with her current abilities, she would possess at least half of the family. Before she came here, the Wu family had already studied the Zhen family. They decided to continue their cooperation, but when it came to Xiaofan specifically, the situation was different. She just doesn't want to work with a family full of idiots. It's too taxing on her mind. Despite that, Zhen Qi should thank her for enlightening her. After all, Changfeng courted her earlier and she still has a good chance of winning. Even though it was a bit of a pity that there would be no cooperation with the Wu family, she believed that the Zhen family would still be able to go a step higher with Chen Feng's help. Xiaofan only laughed, saying that she wouldn't succeed, and she had better believe her. Zhen Qi asked, "Is she really that low in her eyes?" Xiaofan replied that she was the one who thought too highly of herself, and it was Xiaofan who chose Chen Feng as a man. She can even give him the right to rule the entire Wu family. And that's something Zhen Qi is rather incapable of even doing. Better let that silly lady take care of her business. Afterward, they arrived at the company Hu Hongli was talking about. Changfeng noticed that she didn't look too impressive. After all, they really are a real service company. He asked the protagonist to go inside, as the president was already waiting for him. He greeted the young man. Changfeng asked what this was all for. Hu Hongli motioned for him to sit in that seat. He's just arrived here, and he must find all this strange. But the president has asked to feel at home. Since it's that one, he'll really act like he's at home. The president noticed that the young man was indeed carefree. The president decided to get right to the point. He called his protagonist here to offer to join the organization. Conditions weren't bad. There are weekends. They work 8 hours a day and honor all holidays. They don't work overtime and have insurance as well as cash flow. Payments to employees form the basis for their withholding. The prime rate is 2,100 wen. If he understands correctly, this is the minimum wage in Yuzhou. That's what it looks like at first glance. The prime rate cannot be lower, but they have quite generous bonuses. The average salary of employees exceeds 8,000. Does he look like he needs the money? Mr. will have to change Changfeng's mind about this. The goal is to contribute a lot to the company. You can't work without money, and the company provides the opportunity to work. Therefore, he should be grateful for it. Changfeng didn't understand what he meant. Suddenly, Mr. Liu started talking about how he might not be the real Mu Changfeng either. Changfeng was 20 years old this year, and is the illegitimate son of the Mu family. For years he ran after Zhen Qi, the eldest daughter of the Zhen family, without success. A few days ago, he was beaten unconscious by Zhen Bei's men and abandoned in the barren mountains. That same night, appeared on the street and saved Yuling from his pursuers, and then fought a descendant of a side branch of the Zhen family. Mr. Liu has done a pretty thorough study of his background. He asked not to underestimate their abilities. Therefore, the man asked if he should really call the main character Mu Chengfeng. Zhen Bei informed his father that they had taken control of this person in Yanbei. Therefore, they could start the plan at any time. They will attack, overtly and covertly at the same time. Therefore, the Mu family will never get a chance to influence the situation. His son had been working hard the last few days, so his father wanted him to come back and be with his mother, and their people to consult about the rest. Zhen Bei has been running around doing this case, so why should he give this case to others? He wants to drive Mu's family to despair with his own hands. He wouldn't expect anything less from his son. He likes that wolfish attitude. He decided to put the matter in his hands and asked him to make it clean. Zhen Bei will not disappoint his father. He will tear the Mu family to shreds in these 3 days. Whereupon he left his father's office. All he could think of was that Chen Feng would grovel before him, personally begging for mercy. He's ordered to book more rooms at the Rolling World for tonight. He was in a great mood today, so he wanted everyone else to have fun too. They thanked the young master. Xiao Fan asked Uncle Chen what the guy was doing right now. How would he know that? He can't read his mind, probably practicing hard somewhere. But this guy isn't that boring. The Zhen family was about to strike, but Uncle Chen believed that as long as Mu Chenfeng was around, then that family wouldn't be able to do anything. Xiao Fan explained that times are different now. If Chengfeng takes reckless actions, the company will not sit back and watch. She suggested going to the company. The company should have contacted him after what happened at the temple. Mr. Liu inquired if the boy was ready to confess everything. This situation is quite strange. You could even say that he is not Mu Chengfeng, but at the same time, he is still him. He asked not to get smart now, because he believes this guy is not that boring of a person. Chenfeng inquired if he had ever heard of an immortal's rebirth. Then that explains why he changed. The main character couldn't believe he believed such a thing. It would turn out to be fiction. The company often has to deal with strange people. The fact that the guy thinks he's a reincarnation of an immortal is ridiculous, but there's no better explanation. This organization certainly has an exotic combination of talents. Tomb raiders, corpse collectors, cultivators. Times are really different now. People with abilities and ordinary people must find new ways of coexistence. There was a news report about a gas leak in the Laojun Temple area that led to an explosion. That's what their company is all about. He is completely uninterested in what is being said. At present, the spiritual veins are broken and the spiritual energy is scattered. It's impossible to go back in time. And all he wants to do is just live his life peacefully. Anyone who dares to disturb his peace will die. This guy calls himself the rebirth of an immortal, and Mr. Liu is almost convinced of it. The organization has also been exploring ways to restore spiritual veins for the past few years. Spiritual veins are a manifestation of heaven. The energy of the earth is changing. Therefore, Mr. Liu is overestimating his strength. If he hopes to replace Chen Feng in the organization with this, he better give up the idea. This was the second time he stressed that Cheng Feng should not underestimate the capabilities of the organization. He really hopes that it won't come to a third time. If restoring spiritual wines doesn't appeal to this guy, maybe the following information will change his mind. Cheng Feng immediately got angry and asked who gave Zheng Bei the courage to die. If he went to the Zhen family right now, the organization would not allow him to do as he pleased. Chen Feng felt that this was a threat. The two of them should continue negotiating, and his time is up. What Mr. Liu means is that the organization has better ways to help the Mu family survive this ordeal. Provided, of course, that the boy joins them. Cheng Feng can join them. However, he needs the highest degree of freedom, and he will also adhere to the company's rules. And there's one more thing. Salaries must be paid in full, not 1 yuan less. They can fulfill these requests by offering a trainee position. After he signs the contract, then the company will bring back Chen Feng's father from Yanbei. He inquired about the intern position. The guy will not be an official employee of the company. The annual salary will be 1 million, and all bonuses and benefits will be doubled. Except for special missions, he will not need to come to work. Chen Feng remarked that it looked like they had already planned everything. Hu Hongli replied that an organization always has its own plan. He decided to sign the contracts and asked what they intended to do about the trade war that the Zhen family had started. All the organization can do is ensure the safety of all members of the Mu family. He was immediately angry, for these people had dared to deceive him. Xiao Fan appeared there and asked that this trade war be left to her, and the protagonist wondered what she was doing here. The girl explained that her family had shares here too. There was nothing strange about her coming to her own company. Chung Feng is now her employee, and if they start dating, it will be considered an office romance. Chen Feng didn't like her flirtations, especially now that he had serious business here, and she's talking about a serious matter too. The organization will ensure the safety of the Mu family. In the meantime, it will make sure that all of the Mu family's assets are safe. If the Zheng family dares to lift a finger, they will double the amount. Chen Feng thanked Xiao Fan for that. It can't be helped, for he is the very man it has chosen. Who, if not him, should she help? She also asked Hu Hongli what he was doing here, and whether he thinks he is just an eyesore here. He immediately took the hint and left them. Chung Feng replied that of course she had hidden the surprise well. That's nothing compared to the guy. In all these years, he's never stumbled once. Chen Feng asked if she knew where Zhenbei was right now. She noted that if time was taken into account, he should be on his way to the rolling world. She asked me not to act on my emotions and not to cause problems for her and the company. The protagonist reassured her, for he knows what needs to be done. After which, he arrived at the very building that Xiao Fan had spoken of. After that, he noticed cars pulling up there. Chen Feng immediately called out to Zhenbei. They began to scoff at the fact that their young Master Mu was still determined to play. He grabbed Zhenbei by his clothes and asked if what happened in Yanbei was not his doing. He kicked the protagonist because he couldn't believe how he dared to raise his hand on the young master of the Zhen family. After which, the man ordered him to be killed. The protagonist stated that he would destroy it first. The man was terrified and couldn't even string together proper words. Chung Feng decided to ask the question again. Was he involved in what happened in Yanbei? Zhenbei confessed. What will the protagonist want him to do now? If he has any sense left in him, he'd better get on his knees like a good boy and beg for forgiveness. And the main character immediately punched him, and he fell to his knees screaming his name. He didn't even ask Zhenbei to say that nonsense. He turned to the other man, informed that it was his turn. The man began to justify to the young master that he hadn't thought about what he was saying. He picked up the brick himself and hit himself in the head. I'm glad there's one reasonable person in this situation. He went back to Zhenbei again and asked what happened in Yanbei. Was it his idea or his father's idea? He began to claim that Mu Chengfeng had broken his legs. Chengfeng punched him in the face. Zhenbei felt that this guy wouldn't dare to kill him. The protagonist hit him again. Let him try to kill him if he has the guts. He knows where the Mu family's villa is anyway. As soon as he took a swing, the guy was immediately stopped by a shout. It was Zhen Qi who demanded that he stop now. But of course the protagonist had no reason to listen to her, so he just slapped her brother. She immediately ran up to Zhenbei. Chengfeng inquired if she was involved. The girl claimed that Mu Chengfeng was disappointing her. The main character just laughed out loud and told her to finally get out of his life. She should be glad he doesn't hit women at all. Chen Feng, after all, knew that he was her brother, but still hurt him so badly. Zhen Qi demanded that he apologize to her brother or let him forget about the possibility of seeing her next time. He could only watch this most confident woman. Let her consider herself lucky today because she didn't take part. There are some games she's not allowed to play. She screamed that the protagonist would regret what he had done today. The guy turned around, indicating that today was just the beginning. Hu Hongli informed Mr. Liu that the guy did not escalate the problem, after which Mr. Liu relayed his instructions to him. The man would make the necessary arrangements for Yanbei right away. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the doctor said the guy will need a month to recover. He should just forget about everything and concentrate on his recovery. Zhenbei replied that she didn't understand anything. How can he even be hospitalized at a time like this? It's not like he can just be here. She didn't understand what made Chu Chenfeng commit such an act without any respect for the two great families. He threw the apple out of her hands. Zhenbei yelled at her to get out of here. A woman has no right to meddle in these matters. Zhen Qi proudly declared with a hand on her chest that she was his older sister. He also believed that she would still cease to be a member of the Zhen family once she got married. So let them know their place. Tears came to her eyes. As a woman, she had to endure this kind of attitude not only from her brother, but also from her father. He does the same thing. She recalled Xiaofan's words that if she had even half the patience of the protagonist, she would possess half of the Zhen family. So she immediately calmed down and replied that her brother was being rather silly. It doesn't matter if she gets married or not. She will always be a part of the Zhen family. Zhenbei replied that she would say nothing useful except pretend speeches. That's where their father came in. He walked past the girl, indicating for her to get out of here. She only pulled a smile on her face and said she would leave the room first. After Zhen Qi came out, he hit his son. The man didn't understand how he could have screwed up so badly. Zhenbei only wanted to see that guy dead. He really wanted Mu Chengfeng to die. Afterward, the man reported that he had contacted Feng Xinghui, and even they turned down the job. He just couldn't believe the news. That organization would always do anything for money, and they would never do such a thing. Their services must have been too expensive, and his father had simply refused to do justice for his own son. The man slapped him again. Did he even teach his own son talking to his father like that? Most likely, this organization doesn't take up Mu Chengfeng's case, since the guy has common ties with them. The man said with a sly smile that he had already put their plan into action ahead of schedule. Therefore, the Mu family must be in chaos right now. The sword moves with the gaze, and the hand moves with the sword. The body moves behind the hand. This is done in one smooth motion. Yuling had memorized everything, but what confused her was that they were too close. She must clear her mind of all unnecessary thoughts and focus on the training, but she didn't understand why she had to know all this. The main character explained that it was for self-defense. After learning the skills, no one would be able to bully her anymore. The girl thought it was amazing. Someone started yelling about how he couldn't believe he'd been electrocuted in the shower, and why the water was turned off in the first place. Now they should run. There's a price to pay if they get caught. Chunfeng hadn't noticed before, but this girl is quite beautiful. She wanted to say something, but he put his finger to her lips and silenced her. It was as if these guys were about to kiss. Yuling felt that if it was a young master, she didn't even mind, but the call ruined the whole moment. Who would even think to call back now? She left, saying that the young master should get on with his work first, and she would go to take a shower. He really hoped the old Master Mu had a good reason for calling. The old man told him to hurry up and go back. The Mu family has a huge problem, the Mu family's villa. And there already sat the protagonist, who recommended that he had better have a good reason for calling on him so urgently. The old man inquired if he was the one who had beaten Zhenbei so badly yesterday that he was hospitalized. The protagonist replied that it was his own fault for his idiotic actions, and it was just a slap in the face. The woman asked if Chunfeng hadn't hurt the Mu family enough. The guy remembered that she was still supposed to be under house arrest, so he didn't understand who let her out. Sounds like this old man is trying to sit on two chairs at once. Chunfeng has created a huge problem, so he must pay for his deed. While his father was under the control of the Zhen family in Yanbai, their market value dropped by 10 million. And it's all Chunfeng's fault. No matter how useless Mulei was, he had never done anything so reckless. If they continue to consider this scumbag as part of the Mu family, who knows what more trouble he will bring next time. He clearly thought that this bastard would definitely not be able to prevail this time. Other family members. We thought the young master was right. They can't keep this guy in their family anymore. The head of the family would never let him do something like this if he were here. Chunfeng thinks he can't win since he just learned a couple of pathetic moves. The old man inquired if he wished to say anything more. Chunfeng thought that all of this was just plain nonsense. The Zhen family is definitely cruel. If things continue like this, it's more likely that the Mu family will go bankrupt by noon. She called back to Madame Feng and said the woman could begin her part. Uncle Chen saw that Miss was using the family's resources to help the Mu family. It might cause too much of a stir. Of course, Mu's family is not worth it. However, she can't say the same about Mu Chengfeng. She decided to go to see the Mu family. They must be making the protagonist's life difficult right now. Those idiots have ruined the Mu family to the ground in the past few years. That's why Chunfeng isn't going to take the fall for them. Mulei immediately wanted to hit him, for he didn't understand how he dared to argue. He was overtaken by the protagonist, who noticed that apparently he had forgotten his lesson, and as soon as his wounds healed, he then kicked the guy, and he fell to the ground right in front of his grandfather. He asked the old master to notice that Chunfeng still dares to hit him. With these actions, he punches the old man's face. However, the old man told him to shut up. Mu Chengfeng is still part of the Mu family. Is this really how he feels about his family? He better stop with his pretenses. The protagonist wondered how many people really saw him as part of the Mu family. The old master ordered him to start at home and crawl straight to the Zhen family on his knees. He will forget everything if the Zhen family forgives the protagonist. If he was called here for such a small thing, he doesn't want to waste any more of his time on it. The Mu family has been around for generations. Does this guy really think they've run out of trumps? If that's all they can do, all that's left to do is cry. The old man only told him to try to take a step out of the villa without his orders. Chunfeng will go to the Zheng family whether he likes it or not. Xiaofan walked in and asked the old master to calm down. After all, he was a respected person, so there was no need for him to lose his temper over an argument with young people. The old man wondered why she hadn't asked her footsteps to warn her of her coming. He would have been better prepared for this meeting. If the Wu family decided to help them, the family could be saved. There's no need for this hassle, since they'll soon be family. It's too polite. He invited her to take any seat she wanted. Let them treat this house as their own. Despite all of this, Mu Chengfeng is the one to blame for everything. Therefore, he should be held responsible for his actions. He wanted to turn a blind eye to the incident, but since they insisted on doing so in order to take action, let them not blame him for being ruthless. Xiaofan called him great in every way except for his stubborn personality. Let him not forget about his other personality right now. So, she came here to prevent the case from falling apart. He's in the organization now, after all. Chengfeng asked what the market value of the Mu family's shares was. He would buy them all. The old master replied that they could let him buy back the shares, and the current market value is at least 2 billion. He's willing to buy out the Mu family's company for 3 billion. Muley only laughed. Would this guy be able to shell out as much as 3 billion? The protagonist asked to lend him this amount of money. Let Xiaofan think that he is indebted to her. As long as it is not against moral and ethical values, he will agree to her any request. He's acting too strange when it comes to borrowing money. Let him take the money as a dowry and pay it back. Nothing is needed. He received a notice that 4 billion had been deposited into his account. Chengfeng offered to sign the contract. Mu's company now belongs to him, so he asked to stop bothering him with such things. In fact, the company's about to go bankrupt. Only a fool would want to own it. They may have lost the company, but 3 billion is enough to last several generations. Looks like Xiaofan's taste in men isn't that good. If she had chosen Muley, she wouldn't have had to spend so much money in vain. But she was happy to do it. And an asshole like him wouldn't understand her intentions. The old master noticed that Ms. Wu wanted to stay. Isn't this drama enough for her? Why would she leave when the show is just starting? A subordinate burst in with great news. Mu's stock price is flying up again. It has recovered to its previous level. Based on the trend today, they could exceed 50 billion. They couldn't believe it. The girl only laughed because those assholes had sold an entire company worth 50 billion for only 3 billion. What a bunch of idiots. Chengfeng suggested leaving. After all, there was no need to waste time in this place. The old master wanted to talk to this guy on behalf of the family. The protagonist advised them to pack their belongings. In 3 days, he'll do an audit. Useless leech, I'll have a place in the company. Zhen Qi returned to the hospital. She entered the room, telling her father that things were bad. The man asked who told her it was okay to come in here. Tell her to get out of here. The girl said that the Zhen family's stock is plummeting rapidly. They just lost 50 billion. He read it impossible, for the Mu family wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Zhen Qi asked as he took a sip of water. Now we need to think together about what can be done next. He slapped her cheek and called her a worthless slacker. Her father raised her for 20 years, and she couldn't even handle a petty girl from the Wu family. What was the use of keeping her here in the first place? She didn't even know what to say to that. The man didn't even want to hear her pathetic excuses. Zhen Qi asked if it was all easy because she was a woman. She'd better not be nervous. Sister will help the company until she is successfully married. Regardless of how her father treats her, she will help the family until her strength runs out. She left the ward and called back to the protagonist asking for a meeting. Chengfeng wondered why she had invited him over today, since she very rarely did. Zhen Qi wondered if there was any point in having any decorum at all now. In a way, he should even thank her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to gain full control of the Mu family. Zhen Qi asked what conditions Wu Xiaofan had agreed to in order for Wu Xiaofan to help him. Chengfeng noticed that people like her are funny. So why does she always think the worst? He and Xiaofan are good friends, so why can't they just help each other? The girl asked how people like them can have friends. Of course, she can't make friends if she doesn't act sincere with them, after which she suggested that the protagonist become her boyfriend. Toth asked what she meant. If he promises to let Jen's family go, she will agree to be his girlfriend. It seems her goal is for him to just get behind her family. She'd already agreed to be his girlfriend, so she didn't understand what else he wanted. Jen's family is constantly causing trouble. Now that they have suffered some losses from his retaliation, they have sent Zhen Qi to offer peace. Doesn't that seem like too cheap a trick? If that was all she wanted to talk about, she'd better not call him again. She'll give him whatever he wants. Just let him leave Zhen's family alone. Chengfeng asked if she even had the right to decide what she could give him. The girl replied that she did. In that case, he wants 51% of Zhen's company. Will she be able to go for it? Zhen Qi said that it was an improvement for him not to overreact. Chen Feng is anxious to see when she can finally say her final word. At the same time, she demanded that he stop now. Of course, they were also monitoring the situation and found out that Zhen Qi had invited Chen Feng for a conversation. She was cool about it. The man asked if she wasn't worried at all. Instead, she wondered if Mr. Mu was safe now. He was now returning to Yuzhou. This news she was glad to hear. Mr. Lu asked if their efforts would be in vain if Mu Chengfeng agreed to a truce. Xiao Fan asked if he knew what the main character was doing now. It was logical to assume that he was currently strolling through the park with Zhen Qi. Xiao Fan's father, who is now acting president, got excited about it. Her father can blow up anything he wants. Anyway, nothing serious has happened yet. It was only a matter of time before the two families declared a truce. They should wait a bit and see how much benefits Chengfeng can get out of it. How dare that guy date a leftist woman behind her back? He's gonna get it when he gets back. He didn't even expect to see such emotion on Xiao Fan's face, who was wreaking havoc in Yanbei. The girl replied that he was getting old. And it was all about the generation gap. Hu Hongli reported that the Zhen family had contacted the White Lotus sect. Now there is a great risk of the problem getting out of control. He's ordered us to prepare for everything in advance. In the meantime, Mr. Lu will figure out how to defuse the situation. After which the man left. Xiao Fan said the word if. But if the situation got out of control, she was curious to know how the organization planned to handle it. If they have to, they use special methods. But regardless, the peace of the Southwest cannot be broken. He would like to ask Mr. Lu for a favor. There's been a little stock problem in his company recently, and he knows that the Wu family is behind it. As soon as he mentioned the Wu family, he was immediately disconnected. When things are good, everyone acts like brothers. But now, when the Zhen family needs help, everyone acts like they've met a ghost. He doesn't seem to have much choice. He called Mr. Wang back. The man reported that he had carefully considered the offer, so he had decided to accept it. And tomorrow they would find a place to negotiate. He can also bring his son with him, and Zhen Qi will come with a man. After all, the main characters are young people, and the old people will just come to join them for company. Li Cixi acknowledged that he made a lot of effort to contact her, but she charges a high fee for her work. The price matches the quality. So he thinks the holy is worth the money. Li Cixi asked what he thought her price was then. He named 50 million. The man doesn't want anyone from Mu's family to appear before him ever again. And if she has other favors to offer, let her name a price for what she offers him. She wouldn't do something so outrageous under company supervision. I'd still like to live another couple of decades. Mr. Zheng will have to add more. The man inquired how much she wanted, after which the girl showed 2 fingers. He thought she was talking about 200 million. She was talking about 2 billion. If he agrees, the White Lotus sect can guarantee to solve his problems. Li Cixi asked if Mr. wanted other favors, exactly the ones he was thinking of at the moment. The man asked the saint what the price was for them. The price would be his life. The man only laughed, saying that the holy certain had a sense of humor. She demanded that he send the money by tonight. They'll leave tomorrow morning. Zhen Qi felt that they should not give in to the Wang family's demands. The man inquired since when did she think she could call the shots in the Zhen family. There is a lot of money and power hidden in this world. If she wants it, she must be willing to pay the price. Otherwise, she'll turn into the kind of people who are just trying to survive. Does she really want the Zhen family to fall so low? 2 men arrived there, one of whom apologized for being late. Mr. Wang had just returned from a meeting. He shook his hand as well, referring to the fact that they had just arrived. Mr. Wang noticed Zhen Qi, who had grown up to be a beautiful lady. The girl greeted him as well. He asked his son why on earth he didn't say hello. Wang Zijun greeted Mr. Zheng. The waitress poured him some water and accidentally spilled some on his sleeve. She apologized, but the guy replied that it was fine. Let them get back to work. Zijun is really good-natured. If Zhen Qi was in his place, she would definitely raise a ruckus. That waitress couldn't afford a shirt like that on a year's salary, so there's no reason to be hard on her. Besides, such personnel are very vindictive, especially when treated too harshly, and his life is far more valuable than that. Mr. Zheng was glad that Wang had raised such a good son. Mr. Wang remarked that they were only here to accompany them. Let the young ones talk among themselves. Zijun didn't want any problems with Miss Zhen, so it would be better to arrange the wedding as soon as possible. Of course, he would need 51% of Zhen's shares as a dowry. Even the man realized it was too much. But such a price is justified, because apart from the Wang family, they have no one to help the company. Even 40% is the minimum they can go for. Zhen Qi removed her hand and asked when she said that, she would marry him. Her father asked if she was even watching her tongue. but she knows well what she says and does. The girl has proudly declared that she will not marry him, and from now on she will go her own way alone. After that, she called back to Chu Changfeng and suggested we talk again. She would wait for him at the Gold Silk Hotel, after which she arrived at the hotel. From now on, she can only rely on herself. Zhenbei's contact popped up on her phone. He stated that the sister had cut their lives short. Zhen Qi began to claim that he knew what needed to be done. Zhenbei assumed that she was going to meet Chen Feng. But whoever she was going to meet with, it's no longer doing brother. After which, there was a knock on the room. It was Cheng Feng. As soon as she opened the door for him, he noticed that she had just gotten out of the shower. The girl led him inside the room, after which he decided to close the curtains, hoping she wouldn't mind. He didn't want the interested party to get the wrong impression. If he felt more comfortable like this, then it was fine with her. After which, Zhen Qi offered to have a drink with her. The protagonist wondered if she had thought it over well. Zhen Qi was willing to give him 10% of the company's shares. Is that really the decision she made? The girl replied that it didn't happen without his help. Chen Feng must help her gain control of the Zhen family and solve the company's crisis. And for all that, he'll only get 10% of the shares. That doesn't sound very tempting. Zhen Qi wondered what he thought of her adding herself to the balance. The main character pushed her back on the couch and asked this crazy woman what she was trying to do. With Cheng Feng's consent, her family's shares, and she herself would belong to him. The main character mentioned that she's playing with fire, but she didn't really care, because she knew what she was doing. Then she suddenly kissed him. Chen Feng plopped her on the sofa, saying that he would take 20% of the shares and no less. She agreed. A little while later, they were talking about how this turned out to be not her first time. Zhen Qi wondered if she looked like a promiscuous woman. Chen Feng wondered if her father knew about it. As expected, he doesn't. All the more reason for her to no longer hold out any hope for them. He must not forget his promise. Chen Feng called back to Xiaofan, talking about them making up. Afterward, the girl hugged him and asked him to stay here for the night. He kissed her and called her a little demon. Meanwhile, her father tried to call her, but the dialed number is not available. Mr. Zheng apologized for his daughter. This young lady is still immature. Zijun replied that it was fine. After all, they could chat another time. But unfortunately, the conditions will already be different. He was really pissed off by the Wang family's arrogance. The man was then informed that 2 billion had just been transferred. Li Coc noticed that the money was in the account, which meant it was time to start her work. She was approached by a young man who asked if she was sure about attacking the Mu family. Mu Chengfeng is all the Mu family has. But because of this person, they had already lost 2 guards. Therefore, the worries of the current leader of the White Lotus sect, called Mu Zhou, were not unfounded. The company hunted them from Yanbei to Yuzhou. They don't even know if their sect leader is alive now. Without money, their hands are severely tied. Or does the current leader have a better idea? He did not think it was a wise decision to provoke Chengfeng. The current leader must not forget his promise. If he fails to lead the White Lotus sect properly, she will personally kill him. The next day, he didn't realize what a little demon this was with the huge changes. The boy could barely cope with them. A message came to him, and he realized that Mu had no way to protect himself now. So first, he had to return to the company. No overtime service company. Hu Hongli was glad that the guy had finally returned to the office. It looked like he was really exhausted last night. Cheng Feng asked with annoyance, did they really follow him? Nothing will get past the organization. But there's no need to worry because Xiaofan is not aware of it. The White Lotus sect is planning to harm his family, so he wants the company to send their men now. The man replied that they would be moving out this morning. The men from the scheduled cleaning service arrived. Cheng Feng wanted to make sure if they were charging for it. It is the duty of the company to provide safety to the family members of their employees. Therefore, the protagonist can fully trust them. The guy asked where Xiaofan had gone. Hu Hongli said that she left the company when she learned the details of the main character's father's flight. Things are not going well, and the main character wondered when his father's plane had landed. Judging by the time, he should be on his way home by now. Again, there's no need to worry. The organization had already sent someone after him. Cheng Feng was certain that the White Lotus sect's main target was definitely his father. Xiaofan asked the gentleman if his journey had gone smoothly. In response, the man began to thank her, for without her help, he would not have been able to return. Xiaofan revealed that Cheng Feng was the one who had organized all of this. But there's no need to talk about this guy, because he knows what his son is like. Xiaofan wanted to say more about Cheng Feng, but the man stopped her, because he was more interested in knowing how the two met. It was actually due to a strange set of circumstances. As soon as the car turned the corner, Uncle Chen saw that there was someone here. They nailed it even faster than expected. He asked the passengers to hold on tight, for he would not give up so easily. Those brats even tried to beat him at driving. They haven't even got milk on their lips yet. Li Shishi was also riding behind them. She was surprised that they were still trying to escape. The car turned around, after which they went outside. Uncle Chen said to go first. Xiao Fan asked him to be careful. The girl asked with a sneer, wondering if he really thought he could stop her. The man inquired who she was. He didn't think there was any enmity between them and the family, he said. Xiao Fan revealed that these people are from the White Lotus sect. They are here to kill the head of the Mu family. The man immediately guessed that it was the Zhen family's shenanigans. Li Sixie asked not to blame her. Mr. Zheng had just paid a rather large sum of money for the man's head, and the Wu family has nothing to do with it. So Xiao Fan should blame herself for sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. She proudly declared that the Wu family had never been afraid of threats. After which, the girl shouted that if Xiao Hu didn't show his face right now, she would never speak to him again in her life. Xiao Hu and his men immediately arrived there in vehicles. Here they are again, meeting this demoness, who for some reason everyone calls a saint. Li Cicci was amused by the fact that this guy thought he could stop her with these pathetic thugs. He decided to help his mentor and ordered the others to get Xiao Fan out of the danger zone. They may have let their guard down, but she's not going anywhere this time. The girl encroached on that with a good joke. Her spirit weapon is definitely impressive, but it's useless if she can't strike. Besides, they had her pinned down. Uncle Chen really wanted to know how she would handle this situation. She didn't even expect anything less from the gifted disciples of the righteous sect. This is a pretty good battle. She's in the air and therefore won't be able to dodge that blow. The man shouted for Xiao Hu to take his time. She pierced him with her spiritual weapon, not realizing why she was fighting against such a fool. He recoiled, indicating that the act was low. Uncle Chen didn't want to let this demon go either. He threw a rock at it. She was easily able to fend off this gem, talking about how these guys were too weak. After which, she threw a spiritual weapon that pierced the man. Li Cixi has late-stage energy. Therefore, it is natural that they lost. Xiao Hu shouted for the girl to run away from here, but nothing will escape her eyes. Xiao Fan asked for Chen Feng to save her from this, and it really happened. He even tried to stay away from the White Lotus sect. But how dare she even harm his family? The White Lotus sect works for those who pay, and it is the Zhen family that he should blame for this situation. Chen Feng decided to deal with this sect first, and then already deal with that cursed family. Uncle Chen revealed that her flying needles are deadly, but it's just a low-level spiritual weapon. She doesn't understand how to use it at all. The needles that the protagonist threw even injured Li Xie. She couldn't understand how it was possible that this guy was at the first level. Cheng Feng was surprised that she only realized it now, but unfortunately, it was already too late. Considering how scarce spiritual energy is at this time, she can't even believe that this guy was able to reach the first level. Cheng Feng wondered if he had said that she could leave from here. Needles appeared in her hand again, and she threw them at Xiao Fan and his father. The girl also shouted that they would meet again. Cheng Feng was unable to get rid of those needles with his hand technique. He was dissatisfied that he had missed Li Xie. The current sect leader was watching this, not even expecting that he would be the one at the first level to show up in such a wilderness. And this happened after several millennia. Mu Zhou even thought it was a revival of spiritual energy. The man inquired if it was really his son. But he ignored his father and asked Xiao Fan who told her to come here in the first place. Xiao Fan, of course, knew that the guy didn't want to see her, but she knew that he only had Zhen Qi in his heart. But the truth was that she couldn't say no to her own heart. At the same time, the man didn't realize at all what was going on. Xiao Fan called him father and immediately reached out to be reassured. He stroked her head, telling her that there was no need to worry. After all, he would get justice with his own hands. Chen Feng was very curious to see what she was trying to pull this time. Suddenly, the man became furious and lashed out at his son. Cheng Feng started to explain that this was not what his father was thinking. The man didn't understand if it was Mu's family that had taught him to be irresponsible. He had taught his son to always have a pure heart, and now he could see that this guy had not learned anything at all. Cheng Feng kept repeating the words that this was not what he was thinking. Xiao Fan took revenge on him this way for meeting Zhen Qi. Even if Chen Fang had become strong and his father's blows didn't hurt him, at least let him just pretend to be in pain. Cheng Feng started to pretend that he was in a lot of pain and asked his dad to stop it. Xiao Fan could take it easy, for if this cheeky guy dared to offend her, he would teach him a lesson. She recognized this man as the best. Not like some who were blind to her feelings. Cheng Feng told her to stop already. If she continued to manipulate him, he would lose his control. The girl began to cry, for he started yelling at her again. The man hit his son again, saying that this rascal needs a lesson. Let him quickly apologize for his words. Chen Feng had no choice but to apologize, saying that his tone was harsh. His son is too careless. How did he even let his own father's future daughter-in-law know about this? Chen Feng started to claim that they were just friends. The man replied that he understood. His son is handsome, rich, and good at fighting. He just did what the golden youth often do nowadays. In fact, he was going through the same thing too. But Chen Feng should be clear about who he should take as a wife. He is now an adult and has his own notions, so his father will not interfere in his personal life. But he will ask for one thing: safety first. Chen Feng gave up and said father can believe whatever he wants. He can no longer explain things to him. The man replied that he could do what he wanted. But he had already chosen Xiao Fan as his future daughter-in-law anyway. Afterward, the man suggested that Xiao Fan go to their house. She had heard from Chen Feng that her dad liked Chinese chess, so she would like to play with him once when they were already at home. Even the main character can't remember when she said it. Apparently, she's just making it up as she goes along. Meanwhile, Xiao Hu was quietly crying because Xiao Fan had ditched him. Chen Feng wanted to ask him something. Xiao Hu immediately turned away, saying that he doesn't know anything. Even if he knows, he wanted to say anything. Xiao Hu is like a child. Chen Feng wasn't even surprised why Xiao Fan didn't like him. Xiao Hu told him to just leave. After all, he doesn't want to see this guy. He is too annoying. Chen Feng mentioned that he could pay for him, and Xiao Hu should understand who he was talking about now, since he had joined the company, so why ask Xiao Hu since he already had access? Given the history of the company, it's not very convenient to dig deep. He was tired of Chen Feng still being a hypocrite. Xiao Hu wouldn't entertain him if Xiao Fan wasn't around. He raised a pebble, indicating that Soi Hu might consider his suggestion. He then used a rock to break through the metal pipe. Chen Feng joyfully inquired if he would listen to him now. Xiao Hu replied that he would think about it. At first he wanted to ignore the man, but stupid and annoying people are incorrigible. Xiao Hu agreed to do anything as long as Chen Feng didn't hit him. His eyes keep up with this guy's movement, but his body doesn't move. This punch was actually meant for the person who was standing behind Xiao Hu. Chen Feng noticed that this guy was halfway to strengthening his Kuai. He was curious to know who he was. This was what he expected from Mu Chen Feng. Li Xixi is really stupid since she chose this guy as her enemy. Mu Zhou introduced himself as the current leader of the White Lotus sect. The White Lotus sect trash is always persistent after all. And since he's the one who came here, let him stay. Mu Chu replied that he was not an enemy to the protagonist. To put it bluntly, they are now in the same boat. Chen Feng caught the card. There was an address. 32 Yellow Dragon Street. The acting leader explained that that was where Li Xixie was heading right now. And the person Chen Feng was waiting for was also there. The protagonist wondered how he could trust this guy if he had so easily ratted out his sidekick. Sufficient reason is given to believe that this address is just a trap. Even in the White Lotus sect itself, they are divided into two groups. The first group is the radicals under Li Xixi. They all think that Chen Feng is an obstacle to the sect and want to kill him. On the other hand, what Mu Zhou was sure of was that they could start cooperating. The White Lotus sect has been estranged from the world for too long. They need a government like Mu Zhou. The enemy of his enemy is a friend. So from now on, they're in the same boat. He can even consider it a gesture of friendship. Mu Zhou hopes that this guy will not transfer his trust. The guy wanted to leave, but Mu Chen Feng had other things on his mind. The protagonist punched the brat, after which he fell to the pavement. Mu Zhou didn't understand why he did this. Would he really fight the White Lotus sect to the end? Let him not bring them to the point of complete mutual annihilation. Does that brat think he can kill him? Mu Zhou ranted like this, and when he was done, he decided to just leave. Did Chen Feng say that he could leave? The white-haired guy wondered what he was up to. Only the strong can achieve a place in the sun. Mu Zhou needs strength and support. Wastewater Rat tries to convince Chen Feng that she is his equal. Whether it be Chen Feng's strength or support, he is outmatched in everything. He admitted that it was careless of him, but he still wants to be an ally to him. If Chen Feng agrees, the next time they meet, Mu Zhou will tell him the secrets that are passed down in the White Lotus sect through generations. Namely, the secrets of depleting spiritual energy. They both want to revitalize the spiritual energy of this world. After all, this is where they are now. Chen Feng again inquired if he was talking about this guy being able to walk. Mu Zhou attacked him as soon as he came here. This is quite rude. Chen Feng's time is precious because he is a busy man. He even missed lunch because of this. His salary, stress, transportation, and food. This guy needs about 10 million to cover it all. And if he's the current leader of the White Lotus sect, he must be loaded. Mujo was telling this guy not to push him. If he doesn't want to pay, that's fine, because he can just join the organization. After which he threw his card. Chung Feng invited this guy into the company to drink tea. This way, he could even rat out a few more people from the White Lotus sect. The company prides itself on its service. Yes, the experience that the organization provides is worth Togo. Chen Feng was sure that after that he also misses. There will not be there. Mujo said that his card did not have a PIN code, after which he decided to leave again. Xiaohu mentioned that this guy thinks too much about money. Why would he need this trifling amount of money when he already has a lot of money? Chen Feng replied that this guy doesn't understand anything. The Mu family's stock is skyrocketing, and this 10 million will become 30 million as early as tomorrow. Xiaohu wouldn't understand. Now he would go and perhaps they would still have tea sometime later. He wondered what Yu Ling was doing right now. Afterward, he checked that she was practicing. That was to be expected from a born Dao disciple. It had been a few days, and she was already practically a master, but there are still flaws in her movements. Besides, Yu Ling is too soft. If she was tougher, she could compete with the masters. Yulin thought the young master was incredible. She must work harder to keep up with his level. The guy moved closer to her, talking about how her movements were a little fuzzy. She must follow his aura. The smoothly flowing aura itself guides her sword. Let it go with the flow. It will manifest itself. She asked the master if she was too slow. He explained everything, but she couldn't even understand it. Yu Ling had just started cultivating. If she learns this fast, she is not just a genius, but a monster. Many people after such a long time can't achieve this phase. Therefore, she shouldn't take things so seriously. She doesn't want to be a monster. Her wish is simple. Yu Ling just wants to be together with Master forever. When she becomes strong, they will be able to travel to all corners of the world. Therefore, she will work even harder. Yu Ling wondered where Master wanted to go. He told me that this was where he was supposed to be, a world that was quite different from this one. It is majestic, bright, colorful, and dangerous. Even with all the dangers, she would be by her master's side. Mule thought that he had done the right thing. That bastard is having fun here with Yu Ling. The asshole will always be like that. He's only worthy of cheap girls like that. She wanted to get this over with. Every second here felt like torture to her. Chung Feng is actually happy, as she has progressed quite a bit. If the girl practiced some more, he was sure that she would become even better at it. Yu Ling will make the master even happier next time. She couldn't believe they'd choose to discuss such a thing in broad daylight. How shameless they were. These two came here and they're even invited inside. Is this really how they should treat their elders? No one in the Mu family was this inhospitable, but Chung Feng didn't see any elders here. If he were them, he would leave to go back to where he came from. These people are not welcome here. But Yu Ling thought otherwise. She invited them inside. No matter what, they could talk there. But there's nothing to talk about, because these two are here to get the action back. The head of the family has returned, and if Chung Feng knows his place, he should obediently hand over his shares. Otherwise, he will be in trouble. Of course, he didn't believe those rotten shrimp could hurt him. Mule advised him not to be so brazen. He has 100 ways to ruin her worthless life, Chen Feng. He's just a bastard son who's jealous of the Mu family's wealth. This guy doesn't realize his position. The son of a poor servant girl. If he didn't have the Mu family's blood in his veins, he would never have the right to even stand in front of Mule. Yuling didn't want to hear all these nasty things about her master, so she slapped him. Mule didn't understand how she dared to hit him because of some bastard. And her mother still works for the Mu family. He could bully her all he wanted, but he must not say such things about the young master. Otherwise, she wouldn't let him off that easily. He started complaining to his mother that the wench was beating him. The woman began to claim that Mule was the future heir of the Mu family. Therefore, she did not understand how dare they beat her son. Chen Feng wouldn't get away with it. He hadn't even expected to see this side of Yuling. It seemed like his efforts had paid off. He grabbed her clothes, saying that he knows Mule is the heir by birthright. After which, Chen Feng also grabbed the guy and mentioned that it was time for these two to leave this place. The woman started claiming it was the 16th floor, so she didn't understand what he was going to do. Murder is a crime. Chen Feng is just helping them get home faster. Let them hold on tight. He jumped out with them, and they were screaming that they didn't want to die. Chung Feng tried to reassure them that they would be safe. After which, The guy asked to tell Senior Master Mu to keep an eye on those two. If these people were to harass him again, Chung Feng would no longer be so merciful. The subordinate replied to her that he would pass on the young master's message, but at the same time, he didn't realize if this young master was even human. He was able to jump from the 16th floor. The subordinate began to wonder if he was dreaming or if the world had really gone mad. Yiling wondered if they would be okay. It was quite high. They might have nightmares, but they won't touch them again. Besides, if the Mu family were to fall into their hands, he doesn't even know what would happen to that family. He told the girl to go home, and he had things to do in the meantime. The main character said to go to 32 Yellow Dragon Street. It has been perfected over thousands of years and seen countless plans for villains. But in the face of real power, they all turn into childish jokes. Muzhou may have given him the address, but he's just using the guy only to eliminate his enemies. The White Lotus sect is all rotten people. The man claimed the saint promised to fix their crisis as long as they paid her. Is that so? This is how she fulfills her duties. The organization is behind the back of the Mu family. It's a tough nut to crack, so it needs more time. Zhen Bei didn't understand who should even give them this time. Let her not think that everyone would indulge her just for the pretty eyes. Zheng's family had suffered heavy losses, so he was very curious to know how she was going to make up for them. Money, or perhaps in kind. Li Sisi inquired about how her thigh felt to the touch. He immediately pushed back at his son and asked if he really wanted to die. But it's just a simple woman. Zhen Bei didn't realize when it was women who were the ones who roped in the men of the Zhen family. He apologized to the saint. This insolent man, namely his son, does not know what he is saying. So he asked the saint to forgive his rudeness. Li Coc once again inquired about what her body felt like to the touch. 3 years ago, an irreparable situation happened. Li Cc had never left this man's side and had been with him since she was a child. He was like a father to her. Therefore, she didn't understand at all why the sect leader did such a thing to her. The White Lotus sect had existed for centuries. It was strange that she didn't know the sole duty of a saint, and that was to please the leader. In that case, she didn't even understand why exactly she had been chosen. Why she had endured all this, and why he had shattered her beautiful fantasies. He grabbed her hair, talking about how it was just one night. After which he slapped her stomach and also mentioned that there would be more nights. She would get used to it. Li Cc still didn't understand why he had chosen her. The man replied that she was beautiful. That was why he had kept her here all this time. Li Cc's parents willed to take care of her before they died. And a man rarely makes promises, but always keeps them. He will take care of her in many different ways. The girl told the guy to raise his head and asked if she was pretty, and if he wanted something more, he should answer. And if he doesn't answer, he'll die. Zhen Bei replied that she was indeed beautiful. But he dare not have any other thoughts. He didn't understand what kind of scary woman she was. The mere sight of her made his legs shake. He is unfazed in front of a beauty like Li Cc. The man would like to appease her anger by paying 100 million to do so. He asked for his son to be released. She was surprised that she was only worthy of 100 million. It seems that these people have too low an opinion of her. In response, the man offered already 1 billion and asked to let his son go again. She decided to let the situation go, and advised that sonny boy to keep his hands to himself when standing near Li Cc. Tell him to stop doing such stupid things. The spiritual weapon attacked him. The man started claiming that she hadn't kept her word. She had promised she wouldn't kill him. She did say she wasn't going to kill this guy, but she didn't say she wasn't going to teach him a lesson. Worry is not worth believing, and he's not gonna die. He'll just take half the joy out of his life. The man guessed she was talking about his son never being able to have children. That demoness is ruthless after all, and now Zhen Bei has even become a eunuch. Suddenly he noticed that someone had come oh so dark to this backwater. It was Zhen Qi. Father and Zhen Bei should be here. She must achieve her goal despite the price. The Zhen family should belong to her alone. The man reported to the saint that there was some woman outside. Li Cc was angry because she had to teach everything to her subordinates. They just had to get rid of that woman. Afterward, the man noticed that it was Zhen Qi and began to ask that she not touch his daughter. Mr. Zheng doesn't seem to be good at keeping secrets. But it's not her father's fault. After all, she is the daughter of the Zhen family, and it's not that hard to trace someone. This girl is careful, but also straightforward, and she's doing much better than his idiot son. He slapped her again, for he didn't realize who had told her to come here. Doesn't she realize it's very dangerous? The girl replied that she knew what she was doing. She introduces herself as the eldest daughter of the Zhen family and the future leader in Zhen's company. Although she doesn't know who Zhen Qi is, she expects future cooperation. Zhen Qi offered to become her employee, and she would give Li Shishi 10% annual dividends. Li CCC introduced herself as a sect saint and a White Lotus saint, and she recognized that it was quite a tempting offer. However, she could kill them all right now and even take the assets for herself. The man thought that the saint was joking. After all, the White Lotus sect is rich and powerful, so he didn't understand why they needed the Zhen family's money. But if the saint thinks this offer is reasonable, then they don't mind working with the sect. The man punched his daughter in the face, saying that her younger brother was hurt, so let her take him and get out of here. Let him fuck off while he's being kind, and it's best not to test his patience. Zhen Qi was a little upset after all. This man still doesn't believe in her, simply because she's a woman. She understands everything, so she will do as her father said. Zhenbei also threw a bottle at her, asking why she was dragging so slowly. Her family has been feeding her for 20 years, and this is how she treats him. She'll get the dear brother straight to the house in no time. She had a knife in her hands. If this guy dies, her father will pay more attention to her. He won't look at her the same way anymore. The man couldn't understand what she was doing to her own brother. Li Cece was enjoying this sight. It was a determined and unwavering act. Now she was even beginning to admire this girl. He immediately ran up to his son. The girl cried, talking about how she is now her father's only child. She is better than Zhenbei. Let her father just trust her and hand over the family. She will never disappoint him again. Li Cece suggested that she join the White Lotus sect. She will shine even brighter in the sect. A man asked the saint if they could put the partnership on hold for a while. He needs to take his family home. The girl replied that they could go and Zhen Qi would stay here. This is not good. They won't let Zhen Qi go that easily. Cheng Feng wouldn't have gotten involved under other circumstances, but she is now his woman. He punched through the ceiling and jumped straight toward them. He demanded that Li Shishi stop this whole game. The Zhen family had just lost their son, and now she also wanted to take their daughter. Does she really want to kill Mr. Zheng? Let her give him some hope. She hadn't even gone out to get this guy yet, as he came to her on his own. I wonder if he came here to kill them. He simply has no other choice. The White Lotus sect and the Zhen family always bring trouble to his family. And Cheng Feng is the only one who can fight. Who will do it if not him? So he's decided to get rid of the White Lotus novices. But can he kill a woman as beautiful as Li Seo? The guy replied that she had it all wrong. Now he is in the organization and he has to follow their rules. Mr. Zheng spent billions to hire Li Shixie and added another 1.5 just now. And this amount is now Cheng Feng's like this girl. He's not interested in her petty business. So the guy offered to drop by the organization, have tea and finish the case to move on. Well, what's he gonna do if he doesn't get the money or her? Even numerically, they have the advantage, but not Chen Feng. He won't be able to resist. He laughed at the fact that these rotten shrimp dared to attack him. He decided to show his strength with this sword. There's a mark left on the ground. Cheng Feng advised her to think a little longer. Li Xixie ambushed them in the middle of the day, and by the evening, he had already found her. No matter how good the company was, they wouldn't find her so quickly. She guessed that he had Mu Zhou's help. The guy admitted that Mu Zhou had given the address. It was natural that he was trying to use Cheng Feng to get rid of Li Xie. She's smart, after all, and of course she didn't want things to turn out this way. So the guy has a suggestion. Let her go with him to the organization. If she answers Chen Feng's question, he will release her. Cheng Feng is the victim here, and the one who ordered all this is standing right behind his back. That's why she didn't believe that he would let that man go. That man's son might be dead, but he still has a daughter. Mr. Zheng received the highest punishment, so he will no longer be in charge of the Zheng family's company. Neither will the family itself. His children tried to kill each other. What punishment could be more significant than this? It's impressive that young Master Mu could so easily gain control of the Zhen family and conglomerate and join the organization. He has people and money in a chain grip. If Mr. Zheng had even half this kind of ability, his son wouldn't have ended up like this. At least now, his suggestion sounded like the best outcome. Li Xiaose did a foolish thing by continuing to fight. She ordered her subordinates to go to Yuzhou and keep quiet while she was gone. Let them wait for the saint's return. After which the saint asked if he would leave these people like this. Their family had already fallen apart, so it's better to give them time alone. They can wait in the car. The man admitted that he didn't give her control because he wanted to protect her. If she stepped into his shoes, she would face a cruel world and dangerous people. But she knows what she wants and she knows who she's supposed to be. Everything she did was to prove to her father that she was worth something. I thought he said there was a pack of hungry wolves. Even though he has power and wealth, he's still on pins and needles every day, expecting the worst. The first thought she wakes up with is not how much money he will make, but how many mouths he has to feed. If he doesn't feed them, they'll tear him apart. And his kids too. What else can a father do? He can only protect his family and his children. He knows full well how much better Qi is than Bei. But it would be too cruel to demand that of her. Maybe he wasn't strong, but he was pretty tough. He would have no problem protecting the family. That's why it would be more comfortable for the father if the management of the family fell into his hands. But now it's all gone. Father had never been more desperate than he was now. Zhen Qi sat on her knees and asked her father to trust that she would not disappoint him. But it doesn't matter anymore. He has nothing to do with it now. The man will tell everyone that Bei died in a car accident and will also transfer his share to her. What else can he do in this case? They're both his flesh and blood. And he's a total failure as a father. Zhen Qi promised that she would take the Zhen family to the top. The very top. She's on her own now. Father would only have one last piece of advice. She better be close to Chen Feng. Even if she's only a lover, this guy will protect her for the rest of her life. And now he had nothing more to say. He wanted to go home with Bei. Cheng Feng asked if she could drive. He needs to go back to the organization now. If there is somewhere he needs to go, he can give her a ride. They'd better leave first, because she needed to be alone right now. After which, the car moved. Li Coc has noticed that Qi is this guy's woman after all. No matter what, is he really going to leave her alone like this, heartlessly? The thing is, this girl is a hard-headed girl. She can take care of herself. And her pride won't allow her to seek comfort. From the saint's words, we can say that she has never fallen in love. She does not know how to behave with people at all. She replied that she only relies on herself. He also remembered a word to the guy about what he wanted an answer from her. So she asked him what he wanted to ask. Spiritual energy is too scarce here. He wanted to know what happened on this planet. The car is parked. This madman apparently doesn't know what he's saying at all. Long Hu, Wu Dan, and Qing Cheng Sex know about this secret. So why is he asking her specifically? But even if he asked, they wouldn't answer. White Lotus is an ancient sect with a rich heritage. Therefore, they should be informed of such a thing. Or does she really mean to say that the heritage is long lost, and even they don't know the answer? He must have heard it from Mu Zhou, but even a saint still knows a little bit. It's not that she wouldn't want to explain it. It's just that the Lotus sect knows a little about this matter. He asked her to tell everything she knew. He would still keep his promise. The White Lotus sector also bears the name of the Lotus sect, and it was a refuge. The Lotus sect revealed this secret as far back as 1,400 years ago. 2,000 years ago, the great master righteous man, Zhang Daoling, was honored with immortality and left Azuria. But suddenly, he returned to Kunlun and destroyed the dragon vein. At first, everything seemed to be fine. The fluctuations in spiritual energy were barely noticeable. But after 2,000 years, they were struggling to reach the level of key mastery. He didn't understand why all this was done. The sin of breaking the dragon's veins was unforgivable. The heavenly princess would never allow it to be done. So why would Daoling take such a risk? But she doesn't know the answer to that question. If he wants to know something more, it's better to go to a righteous sect. Their story is much longer. After that, they arrived at the organization, and the protagonist decided to see Li Cc off. He told me that it was a saint from the White Lotus sect, who humbly praised him for his excellent work. Mr. Puddle sent a report to North Yang, whereupon he told the saint to follow him, for they must get her to the right place. Chen Feng mentioned that she came here of her own accord, so there was no need to be so rude, and let nothing be used against her. He said Mr. Liu is waiting for the guy in the office. Don't keep the gentleman waiting. He arrived at the master's place and apologized for the wait. Chen Feng was not willing to go around either, as he wanted to go home as soon as possible. He wondered if he just wanted to go home or to young Ms. Zheng's place, after which he offered the guy some tea. He has almost nothing going on in his life, but he sees that the organization notices every little detail. Can't he even have a personal life? After all, this guy is still an intern for the organization, so it goes without saying that they will keep an eye on him. An elder of a righteous sect is celebrating his 100th birthday this year. So the organization wants to send the protagonist there. If he remembered correctly, the sect was not in their territory. Therefore, Chen Feng didn't understand why going there. He wondered who all these people were. There's even a psychic. As it turned out, other departments lacked power too. These people are all influential enough to be among the famous families of the Dragon Nation. They will definitely come to such a grand event. And where there's people, there's conflict. Chung Feng knows that the company's main goal is peace in the territory. North Yang also has confidence in Chung Feng's fighting skills. Is this the way they want to tell him he has permission to fight? In fact, no one would have been able to stop him if he really wanted to fight. However, then a hairdryer should know when crossing the line. Any threat to life is forbidden. So, as long as he hasn't killed anyone, he can do whatever he wants. Doesn't matter who it is. It's okay, even if he cripples them. I thought he said the company strictly forbids murder. Still, Mr. Liu should know how much Chen Feng is losing by agreeing to this trip. It's better to forget about the payment now. The guy just took control of the Mu family's mess after all. The only thing he's lacking now is manpower. The company can choose the best workers to run the Mu family's business. Xiao Fan might be helping the guy, but she's not the best option. And if the organization helps him, he can have confidence in her. In that case, he'll take the case and be on his way in a couple days. But the workers have to report back in 3 days to the Mu family. Mr. Liu accepted this guy's offer. The personnel will be on site in 2 days. The living room of the Wang family residence. The man received the news that Zheng Bei had died in a car accident, but the internal intelligence claimed that he died from stab wounds. Zijun thought this guy was a fool, so it was only a matter of time. But it was clear that there was definitely something under the surface. The Zhen family is acting strange. There's something wrong with them. It was a big blow to the Zhen family. Mr. Zheng had invested all his heart and soul in his son, and now all his expectations were in vain. He decided to visit that family tomorrow. Zhen Qi surely needs someone to comfort him. This was what he expected from his son. He was glad that the boy was thinking along these lines. Zhen Qi was now the only one who could control the whole family. Once he wins her heart, then the entire Zhen family will belong to the Wang family. He fell in love with Zhen Qi at first sight and just wants this woman to belong to him. He just wants her and the whole Zhen family. The next day, he arrived at the Zhen family's residence. He was very saddened by the situation with Zhen Bei. But still, she shouldn't grieve so much. It was better to take care of herself right now. He asked if Qi was free tonight. They could have a drink or two and give Zhen Qi a chance to talk. He's a good listener. She apologized for getting me in the mood for all of this. Also, the girl asked that he call her by her full name, since they're not that close. After that, the protagonist arrived there with Yuling, and the latter noticed that there was something wrong with this guy. He looks like he's up to something. Qi wondered why Chung Feng had come here. It is improper for him to do so. He's here to offer his condolences, and since he's here, he'll keep his promise. He heard that the young master of the Mu family had recently taken over the company, and even became close to Wu. He is reaching the top. Even he is jealous of such good fortune. Needless to say, Chung Feng was also surprised. He probably just looks too good. Miss Wu even refuses to leave his house. It's just a headache. Zigun wondered if he could count on his luck to last long. If he thinks he can do whatever he wants and will continue to pester Qi just because he is close to Wu, then the guy is too naive. As long as he is here, then Chen Feng can forget about being close to Tsu. It turns out this man likes Qi. He told me that he fell in love with her at first sight. Their families fit together. No matter how you look at it, they're the perfect couple. Not like some who hover in the clouds and don't have an ounce of intelligence. He decided to tell this kid a secret and asked him not to tell anyone. Kiki has a plum blossom-shaped mole on his inner thigh. Let Zijun guess how Chung Feng knows this. Let him scatter his brains, after all. The protagonist believes in the power of his mind. Zhen Qi asked the guest to go inside. He didn't understand why he should even stay. Wasn't this shame enough? The Mu family never got along with the Zhen family. Isn't it too much for them to come here? Chen Feng is here to talk to Qi. They'll leave as soon as he's done. And here it came to them. Zhen Qi said to sign here. He came here for a share, didn't he? She's prepared everything. Yuling also submitted a contract to him. If she signs this contract, she will get 10% of the MU company's share. Chung Feng hopes for a long relationship between their families. After all, no one will be left without profit. But the Mu family's share is much bigger than my share of the Zhen family. Does he still want her to have that share? Miss Wu was right. If she was half as capable as Chung Feng, things wouldn't have turned out this way. He didn't have a choice anyway. He couldn't stay with the Mu forever. The day would come when she would go wherever she wanted to go. And for a family, it's better to find a friend than an enemy. She was a little hurt by the words about only a friend. When Chung Feng is away, she will look after the Mu family. Also, Zhen Qi asked if Yuling would now follow him. Yu Ling is an exceptional girl. Therefore, don't underestimate her just because of her age. Under Cheng Feng's guidance, she has grown a lot. I guess that's to be expected from this guy. He is always very skillful with women. Zhen Qi seemed to have misunderstood something. After which, Mr. Zheng approached them and told his daughter to go inside. He had something to say to the young master. Cheng Feng also told Yu Ling to wait for him in the car. This illegitimate son spent many years under scrutiny. He laid low before striking the fatal blow. To say the man is impressed is to say nothing. To be honest, he had caught himself several times thinking how wonderful it would be if Chen Feng was his son. Right now, those words were completely irrelevant. The protagonist offered to cut to the chase. He has given up many things, but he can never give up his status as a father. The man has crossed the line many times, but all he wants is to protect his family and company. He hopes that Cheng Feng can forgive the Zheng family. If he's looking for someone to blame, he can blame Mr. Zheng. And if he wants to, he can even take his life. He can understand it. But if the Zhen family does not go against the Mu family from now on, he hopes for a long cooperation. Qi has already signed the contract. Chen Feng gave her 10% of the Mu family's shares, but it's no one who should complain. The man now realized why the Wu family girl was absolutely in love with him. This is considerate. He is an incredible young man, so as long as Mr. Zhen is alive, then the Zhen family will not go against the Mu family. As for matters after his death, he has no power over them. That was good enough for him. He expressed his condolences and then left. The man also asked that he not break Qi's heart. Cheng Feng explained that they have a purely business relationship, so there is no need to think too much about it. And what will happen in the future is unclear right now. He asked Yu Ling to go back and deliver a message to Madame Chen Feng will visit the righteous sect in a few days. He will ask Mr. Lu to allow Yu Ling to come as well. She will follow the young master's instructions. He couldn't believe that this asshole, who was just lucky, dared to show such insolence. Besides, it's that damn Zhen Qi. She only gives the appearance of being a proper girl. He wished they were all dead. Then the guy calls back to the Sima family, who specialize in this kind of thing. He needs him to kill someone without attracting attention. He was curious to see who was foolish enough to anger the young master of the Wang family. As soon as Zima Xun heard Chen Feng's name, he couldn't believe how this person had even managed to piss him off. Sima Xun opened the guest list for the righteous sect head's birthday celebration. And on the list was Chen Feng from the cleaning company without overtime. It's not that he doesn't want to help Wang, it's just that this is quite a difficult situation. Did Zijun even know that this guy was a member of the company? Shima's family is a subsidiary. If they kill Cheng Feng, old man Xiong will skin him. Zijun couldn't believe that guy had joined the company. Since he had such people behind his back, no wonder why he was so arrogant. Shima Xun suggested that he should just forget about it. He should know about how powerful the company was. Even Righteous and Wu Dan wouldn't cross them, let alone Jima. Zijun offered 3 million. If he takes the case, regardless of the outcome, he is willing to pay this amount in full. Didn't he like the actress from the Sakura Nation? He's bringing her to the Dragon Nation next month. It turns out that Ziema Xun was crazy about her. Even though the case is complicated, he might even be able to help. That's why he's expecting us to see him in Yuzhou next month. He informed his mother that he would go next month for the celebration of the head of the sect of the righteous. His mother should stay at home with his father. They still had 30 unplowed hectares of land. All that little brat does is run away from work. Let him behave himself. And don't even let him think that if he does something wrong, she and her father will clean up after him. 2 days later, airport. Yu Ling wondered how long they would be away. Isn't the celebration next month? They're going too early, aren't they? The celebration is next month, but many have already started to move in. Besides, the righteous are organizing some kind of festival before his birthday. It wouldn't hurt to get there early. Well, and isn't it fun to travel business class? And of course, they are already being followed. He told Yu Ling to go to the boarding gate with the luggage. Yu Ling was worried that it was dangerous. There are a lot of people here. Wouldn't the company consider it bad if they fight here? There is no need to worry, for here are just acquaintances. Besides, this person will not only not give them any trouble, but will also keep them from other troubles along the way. Again, that man is trying to get rid of her. If Mr. Mu hadn't told her the guy was leaving, she'd still be here. She'll show who's boss when she catches him. Cheng Feng really wanted to know how she was going to do it. She didn't even expect him to find her so quickly. The main character asked to get an "I'm stalking you" tattoo on his forehead. He only wanted to congratulate someone on a business trip after all. so I didn't see why it was necessary to follow him. The circles of the dragon nations have become shaky recently. This adventure is full of dangers. There is nothing strange about her going there to celebrate her birthday as well. Among the 4 great families of Northern Yang, she is the representative of the Wu family. They can go their separate ways here, and she's no stalker. Chen Feng asked her to be around if she wanted to follow him. It was much safer next to him anyway. After that, the kid asked where her private jet was. Have her take them there. Xiaofan asked how he knew that. She didn't even mention the airplane, and why should she even let this guy on board? They can still remain friends if she watches her language. A super rich young lady without a jet. Who would ever believe that crap? Xiaofan was fed up with this bickering, so she immediately decided to go to the righteous. Xiaohu lamented that his Xiaofan was getting farther and farther away from him. The fixer asked if they should follow Miss Wu to the airplane. Xiaohu asked if they could afford one. He probably doesn't even know how much such an airplane costs. Xiaofan revealed that her father will also visit all those who are righteous. He wants to meet Chen Feng. The protagonist asked not to report it so seriously. The head of the Wu family is not his future son-in-law. But that's the way it is, actually. Their fathers had a talk. He plans to use the birthday as an excuse to see Chen Feng, so the boy should try to get him to like him. And it had been a long time since they'd talked privately. Xiaofan had a request for him. Chen Feng inquired about what she wanted. He could give everything except money. The girl confessed that she wanted to carry his child. She's thinking about the fact that they should have a baby. Chen Feng was shocked. She's only a friend to him, already wants children. She just thinks that to take the relationship to the next level and I need a child. Xiaofan has already seen his father, and Chen Feng will see her father. They will give their consent. Chen Feng now realizes that he shouldn't have gone along with her. A subordinate noticed that the president hadn't eaten since morning, so he offered him something to eat. Xiaohu told him to get lost and leave him alone. He is quite annoyed right now. He even wondered if Xiaofan liked weaklings. He must have lost a lot of weight. However, the president weighed himself yesterday and saw that he had gained 5 pounds. A righteous sect. He criticized his teammates in the game. He'd rather play with his feet than his shooter. And it would have been better if Youngler had tried to kill the dragon instead of rampaging around. Another human was killed in the beginning and still is. He's just useless trash. And in the battle, he didn't even notice the support. Looks like they were playing 4-on-5 again. The system reported that the player was blocked. He immediately threw the phone. This fucking game in general, whether you wanted him to play or not. He swore he would never play that shitty game again. The apprentice brought the head a guest list of the nations and the dragon that would be at his feast. The old man said, leave it on the table, he would look at it later. But suddenly he noticed that Mu Cheng Feng would also be there. I wonder what kind of lightning will fly between him and the young ones from the Dragon Nation. It looks like revitalization is expected in the righteous sect. Then the old man said to give him his phone. But the elder scolded the students that the telephone was bad for their studies. He asked me to stop contributing this nonsense. He is almost 100 years old. He asked the discount student how much more time he thinks he will have for games. Blessed Master Zhang broke the dragon vein 2,000 years ago, carrying the karma alone. No one in the world can understand his intentions. He doesn't even know if the time has come that the Blessed One has been waiting for. But if he still looks at them, let him tell the revelations to his disciples. The news just came in. Shima Shun, Zhuge Tingfeng, and Chu Ma Hu have arrived. These people came early, probably took advantage of the free dinner. He suggested a visit to the foot of the mountain to show his respect. This is very different from his idea of a respectable sect. The protagonist asked if they were definitely an occult righteous man and not a tourist center. How are they supposed to pay homage at all? The sect elder, Taoist Master Xuanling, is celebrating his 100th birthday. Many businessmen will come to enjoy the divine aura and place incense. The real gate of the mountain of the righteous sect's mountain is not here, but further away. People gathered around the master. He showed them his techniques. The man asked how old the strong master was. The old man replied that he was over 80. He asked him not to put it anywhere if it did get taken down. The foreman would yell at him again. Mu Chengfeng introduced himself and also introduced his friends. He said that they had come here to wish Master Xuanling a happy birthday. The old man said they were waiting for them. After they entered the main hall, they should turn right and go straight ahead. There, they would see a small path. They should follow it to the end, and then they would reach the gate of the mountain. Xiaofan couldn't believe that this was the bridge they were supposed to walk across. Most likely, the sects set up this obstacle to be at a distance from the world. Ordinary people can only reach the front of the mountain. Only the worthy can reach the end. Even the disciples of the righteous sect train at the front of the mountain. Only when they can cross the bridge will they be allowed to train at the back gate. He asked Miss Wu to rest in the hall. And he will visit the master. Chen Feng asked if he wanted me to see the mountain from behind. He can take her there. She has visited the righteous sect many times, but this is the first time she sees the bridge to the gate. She's never been here before. They need to know their place after all. Xie Shun thought that everyone who could be bothered would want to visit the master. If a lot of people came, master would be terribly annoyed. Could it be that this is the same Chen Feng? He doesn't even look that special. Xiao Fan can go wherever he wants. It's none of his business. No one stopped them, so they have the right to be here. Chen Feng told Yuling to go ahead, and they would go after her. He also told Xiao Fan to hang on, and let her not blame him if she falls off the cliff. He thinks this guy's death by falling off a cliff would be called a good plan. Yuling crossed this bridge. Zhuge Tingfeng stood there, who thought that this was an impressive move. He even wondered who her teacher was. She is barely 18, but she is already practically a master herself. Xie Shun asked me not to say that he liked this girl. After all, she's only 18. However, he was also most interested in her teacher. It would be good to know him. If he is that eager to learn, he can let him. He taught Yuling every step of the way. Although their behavior left much to be desired, but they could always come to an agreement if they asked Cheng Feng with a bow to be their teacher. He thought it was funny and also inquired how old he was in general. Since he's been practicing it, he's probably in the last or maybe the first stage. He won't say he's in the way of combining chi energy. Young people shouldn't lie. Let him walk carefully and don't fall. Come to think of it, there are still people in Azuria who use formations. Though the energy and subtle illusion is still steady. To create information, one needed an object that was endowed with spiritual energy. Chen Feng's strength had reached its limit, but this object could be useful to Yuling. Tin Feng wondered why he suddenly stopped walking, but Shun didn't know. Perhaps he was just frightened. After he crossed the bridge, he placed Xiao Fan on the ground. He gave thanks for this nice pearl that would now belong to him. They would see each other later. Zhen Qi stated that if he didn't want to complicate the situation, then let him give the pearl back. But seeing the protagonist leaving, he decided to activate another artifact. Tin Feng reminded him that private fights were strictly forbidden in the righteous sect, and he had just broken the rules. So if Shun made a fight out of it, his parents wouldn't be happy about it. But he didn't even realize when it was the people from the Shima family who took orders from the Zhuge family. He wanted to take revenge on Mu Chengfeng. The guy noticed that Zima Shun had been strangely hostile to him from the start. Something's wrong. After that, he called back the organization and asked them to run Shima Shun through the database. The guy wanted to know who he had contacted the day before. Xiao Fan couldn't get rid of the feeling that something serious was going to happen. But she can't figure out what exactly it is. Maybe it's just her intuition, but it feels like the calm before the storm. The Dragon Nation has kept the peace for years. All vermin are eager to make a scene, especially when they have such a big opportunity in front of them. It's in the nature of humans. If they were obedient children, there would be no need for organization. After that, he was sent a message that Zizhou had called Shima Shun a couple days ago, and now that explained a lot of things. Xiao Hu was happy to see Big Brother Ling Chen. They hadn't seen each other for so many years, and now Big Brother was almost at the first stage. Xiao Hu is the most gifted of their group. He would have achieved even more if he hadn't left the mountain. Let him apologize to Master properly, and tell Uncle to put in a good word for him. They can stay on the mountain together this time. But the big brother has to know how the kid feels. He needs to answer his own heart. He also asked for his older brother to teach Chen Feng a lesson instead. But he should know very well that Master doesn't allow fighting. Then he decided to give him the latest model. It's not like they're gonna kill that guy anyway, they just want to teach him a lesson. He'll bring the newest console next time. If it works, the Master will never know about it. He agreed. A friendly fight with the young and promising people of the Dragon Nation would be good for him. The Master would support it. The Fenxin Hui Company will deliver the thunderstorm trees in a few days. Big Brother mustn't forget to get them. Guest room. The disciple told him to get situated and also gave him the password to the Wi-Fi. If they had any wishes, the sect would do their best to fulfill them. They can visit the training arena in their free time. Many guests go there. Xiu Fan indicated that she wanted to go there and asked Chen Feng to take her there. He also wanted Yuling to go with them because she might learn something there. After which the boys arrived at the training ground. Xiao Fan admitted that it wasn't that impressive. Still, they didn't level for Chen Feng. Their technique really leaves a lot to be desired. These people have a long way to go to become masters as well, but given their age, it would be difficult for them to comprehend even half of that path. One man didn't like what the girl said. He had been training for over 20 years, and no one had ever dared to say such a thing to his face. He, too, inquired as to who had brought her here. The man wanted to show that man his eagle claw technique. Yuling hid behind the main character and apologized. She didn't want to cause trouble. Cheng Feng replied that it was true. These people lack talent, and the execution of their techniques is not good at all. He trained this girl himself. But the guy sees no point in fighting them if they want to. They didn't like the arrogance of these guys. They're still so young. And they're up against highly regarded martial artists. That guy's teachers should be right now, covering in cold sweat. The disciples reported to him that it was Cheng Feng. So he asked his elder brother what he thought about it. This is an outstanding young man whose strength exceeds that of a master. But Xuan Ling thought that it was impossible. How was he even able to cross the threshold at such a young age? He wondered just how much more powerful this guy's master was. Perhaps he is at the QE strengthening stage. It seems like he doesn't want to antagonize Xiao Hu. If Cheng Feng was against Xiao Hu, the latter would already be dead. But there was no hurry, so they would just wait and see. Cheng Feng decided to let them compete with his female disciple. Just don't let him cry afterwards that a young girl had taken them down. He really wanted to see just how strong she was. Yuling was worried about this fight. The protagonist advised her to do what she usually does in training. This sparring would only benefit her. She will not let her master down. The man with the mustache told the other to attack first because he didn't want to kill him. Such a beautiful young girl. Let her even watch her strength so as not to hurt him. He even thought that such a beauty would be a good match for his son. She apologized for her rudeness earlier. This is her first fight with strangers, so she will do her best not to hurt them. He really wanted to see what she could do. Yuling dodged his lunge. After which, she attacked that master, talking about how his steps are rather unstable. He won't even be able to touch her. After which, he jumped back to the other man and offered to attack together. This girl is close to master level. But even if she's close to master level, it's worthless if she has no experience. Yuling jumped back from where she was hit, repeating her words about them not being able to touch her. She admitted that she doesn't like to fight, but she doesn't want to disappoint the young master either. So with her next move, she will defeat them. They agreed to attack from the front and flank. We must not give her a chance to underestimate them. She swung her foot at them, indicating that she would be serious now. Because of her incredible speed and impact, the two couldn't even do anything. The man with the mustache asked if he still wanted her to meet his son. He realized that she could beat him to death. Yuling apologized for being a little overzealous. The man replied, or that it was fine, since they were not injured. This girl's strength is overwhelming despite her young age. The new generation will definitely outlast the old. But after all, this girl is only 18 years old, and she's already at this level. No one would be surprised if her name was on the Dragon Nation's power rank list. Also, don't forget that the young man has declared himself as her master. If she is that strong, then doesn't that make Togo Guy at the Grandmaster level? He had heard some information that a Grandmaster named Cheng Feng had appeared in Yuzhou. It seems to be him. It's very lively today. He wanted to give it a try himself. Ling Chen would like to fight with promising young talents. They were surprised that a senior disciple of the righteous sect would also fight. Still, how good it was that they had come to see such a spectacle. He is the successor of the Heavenly Master, and in the past 30 years, no one has seen him in battle. He has already been a Grandmaster for 30 years. Cheng Feng replied that he had come here to wish him a happy birthday, not to fight. Sima Shun started to argue that Master Ling Chen was kind enough to him, so let him show respect. It's just an open invitation for everyone here to wrestle. He's not pointing at anyone in particular. However, he'd love to charge with the youngest Grandmaster of the Dragon Nation. There's no need to worry, because even he can give you some guidance. But he would love you to compete with the young master. Much as it turned out, Cheng Feng was not interested in this. It looks like these brats have discussed everything in advance. They obviously want to show Chen Feng who's boss. But this guy looks like a stubborn kid. He won't fall for it. Since the sect elder wants to see what this guy can do, he can push them. These guests are here to celebrate his little brother's birthday, and he thanks them for that. He is pleased to see how outstanding the young legacy of the Dragon Nation is growing. Regardless of sect affiliation, he would answer any question the victor had. Sima Shun decided to be the first. and he offered Chen Feng to fight him. As one of the top 10 young forces of the Dragon Nation, he would like to challenge the youngest Grandmaster in history. Taoist Master Xuan Feng is a living legend. Mom will be overjoyed to be instructed by him. She will be so proud that she will tell her friends about it. Cheng Feng didn't understand why everyone's gazes were fixed on him when he hadn't done anything of the sort. It looks like they want to fight him, and he has no choice but to accept this invitation. And since Xuan Feng is a heavenly master of the righteous sect, he should know the secret about Master Zhang and the Dragon Vein. He'll get to the bottom of it. It may allow him to join the Dragon Vein and return to the realm of immortality. Shima's family practices techniques that were born from warfare tactics, mostly aimed at killing. Although Shima Shun is only on his way to becoming a master, his techniques may hold some masters back as well. He mentally apologized to Than Phenom for setting him up, but all for the sake of the console. He demanded that the protagonist give him the pearl and let him accept defeat. Otherwise, don't let him blame Shima Shun for putting his best foot forward. The killing technique is quite difficult. It feels as if Cheng Feng has to fight against 10,000 alone. Since the protagonist didn't agree, he would just beat him up and just take his thing back. Suddenly, Chen Feng appeared behind him, claiming that he had just taken what was in his path. And now, this thing belonged to him. Jiema Shun was surprised by his speed of incomprehension as he managed to move behind his back. He punched him in the face, telling Jun to get out of this arena. That's where the medics arrived to take the loser to the infirmary. Chen Feng inquired who else wanted to fight him. Xuanling thought that guy had given up too easily. One punch was enough to win. This way, they wouldn't understand anything. But Xuan Feng started to claim that guy was at the first stage. He didn't believe his older brother. How could that guy reach the first stage at that age? Even they had cultivated for decades. He used divine power in this slap. So precisely divine energy can only be controlled by a person in the first stage. Just think that the organization has attracted such a powerful person. It might bring trouble on them in these couple of days. They protect the cult. If someone tries to throw something out, they stop it. But it seems like Ling Chen is having a hard time. Sometimes it's good to teach him a lesson so that he doesn't keep sticking to Xiaohu. The focus of his practice is on wielding a sword. Therefore, if Cheng Feng requires a weapon, the sect can provide it. The protagonist replied that he didn't need it, as he had his own weapon. He asked Yu Ling to throw the sword to him, after which he caught the wooden sword. A weapon that is made of wood and struck by lightning is considered a spiritual weapon. But a spiritual weapon only reveals its true power when its master is in the consolidation of ki energy. Does he really use such a weapon? You won't know until you try it. Ling Chen went on the attack. He immediately went behind Chen Feng's back. He then attacked him. The protagonist managed to duck from the attack. This technique is called the Pure Yang Sword Energy Technique. It is divided into 3 stages and 9 movements. This movement is called the Sword of Sunlight. It may not be the most powerful movement, but it's incredibly fast, pretty impressive. After which he executed the next attack. At the same time, the main character kicked him. Master put divine energy into this sword, and then, when she lowered the sword, then released the energy. This movement is much more powerful. Don't expect the previous one. However, these tricks are not enough to achieve Chen Feng's defeat. Chen Feng's movement is quite nimble. It is now clear that he is indeed worthy of the reputation of being the youngest master in history. It seems like he should reconsider his attitude towards his opponent. The next strike is the strongest move called the Four Spirit Sword of Pure Yang Energy. Even Ling Chen sometimes can't deflect this strike. This sword is governed by the divine energy that emanates from the master's body. But unfortunately, it is Cheng Feng who is his opponent today. Just one technique was enough to defeat Ling Chen. Xuanling couldn't believe his eyes. How could anyone even achieve such a level? It was unbelievable that it had reached the level of qi consolidation. Let it be for a second, but lightning cannot manifest without divine energy coursing through his veins. Now it's time to meet the company's new intern, a righteous sect, the foot of the mountain. The tree struck by lightning will be delivered to the sect in a couple days. The success of the plan depends on whether they can capture it. Muzhou ordered to split up and infiltrate the righteous sect one by one, not revealing his true identity until the real mission. He asked to set things up with Zhang Qi. They will get half of the tree if the plan succeeds. Jiemasun couldn't believe that this man had knocked him out with just one slap. Mao Chenfeng made the guy turn to his elders for help. He tried to calm Yu Ling down by talking about how everyone would get steamed, but she didn't care about that. She was just happy that the young master had won. He had defeated even an elder from the righteous sect. It was increasingly admiring him. Still, the old man is uneven to him. With such a young talent, he feels happy even after losing. Changfeng replied that it was just luck, although he still didn't understand why the master insisted on fighting him. He revealed that it was his younger brother's request. The old man would also see to it that he practiced more. As soon as he saw the old man's gaze on Xiao Hu, he understood everything. This guy has potential, but his ignorance comes before him. Therefore, Ling Chen should push him more. Big brother also lost to Chen Feng. How can he go after Xiao Fan now? Xiao Hu is doomed, but even Big Brother is now against himself. Maybe he should go down the mountain and hide until it's over. But the old man didn't think so. After years of separation, he really wants to see if Xiao Hu has lost her skills. Yuling picked up the Lord's game console, after which she decided to go to give it back. But Cheng Feng replied that they were cultivating in the mountains, so they wouldn't like such a thing. It might be for the other disciples. They can give it to Xiao Fan so that she has something to kill time with. There are many people who stand out from the crowd just for birthday celebrations. Just think of Chen Feng getting such a chance. His victory speaks of his outstanding skills. Shima Shun is among the top 10 strongest of the Dragon Nation youths, but Cheng Feng demolished him with just a single slap. He is so strong despite his young age. The man thought that he would at least become a divine master in the future. Suddenly, the woman cried out that she wanted to have a child with him. Xiao Fan got angry and told her to go to sleep. In dreams, many things are possible. A little later, she said that Daddy was coming next week. So it was better to prepare in advance. Cheng Feng mentioned again that they are not on time. Therefore, he does not see the point of going out with her father. But the girl doesn't care. He might not meet her father, and she would just press Chen Feng's father. Xiao Fan's words may not mean anything to him, but he will clearly listen to his father's words. Still, he agreed to do as she said, but she was curious to see how he would tell his family about this girl. Xiao Fan can see that Chen Feng likes Yuling. Cheng Feng explained that there was nothing between them. Don't let her think that she doesn't notice anything. She hasn't even said anything about him and Zhen Qi yet. Just she's kind. They need to think hard about this. Let them not just think about themselves, but about their family and identity. He decided to save that conversation for later. Of course, if Cheng Feng convinced their fathers, he could have them both. After all, it is the children's prerogative to choose. And scary, but she really likes Chen Feng. She wants to date him because he seemed interesting, but now she's sure she loves him. She likes absolutely everything about this guy. Chen Feng reassured the girl. He would answer her properly and so would everyone else. Xiao Fan wanted 100 children from him, and Yuling just wanted to stay with the young master. She would follow him wherever he went. Cheng Feng wondered if she was a pig to bear a whole 100 children. But the girls didn't even notice Togo as weapons flew at them. Fortunately, Chen Feng caught the dagger. How could anyone ambush Miss Wu while they are still in the righteous sect? Who would dare to do such a thing? Xiao Fan is still an outsider. Perhaps they attacked the names of the protagonist. He decided to go to have a look around, and Yuling should stay here and guard Xiao Fan. Does this man really think he can escape? He's in a righteous cult. There's nowhere to run. They seem to be so stupid that they are willing to attack in someone else's territory. Even if Cheng Feng lets them go, the sect definitely won't let them go. Suddenly, he noticed Sima Shun, who was using the formation again. He doesn't know what Zijun promised him for pestering Chen Feng, but the guy is already bored with it all. It all started with Wang, but now it's personal. Chen Feng stole his pearl and embarrassed him in front of everyone. So now they are mortal enemies. Now even pathetic little bugs. I think they can compete with him. Sima Jun doesn't seem to have it so far over his head. And how can they even be mortal enemies at his age? The formation interrupts all spiritual energy from outside. No matter how strong Chen Feng is, he won't be able to communicate with the outside world with his secret techniques. Let him enjoy his last feast that the Zhima Shun brothers had prepared for him. With the help of the stones, the protagonist saw that it was an illusion. The formation can be broken just by physical force, but it's someone else's mountain. It is better to inform the sect, and then they will send help. After that, he started dodging attacks. The man wondered how much longer the formation would last. Cheng Fen is too strong. What if they can't handle him? The formation will be in place for another half hour. Their attacks are fast. That's why he doesn't believe this guy can dodge them all. They can miss many times, but it only takes one hit to lose. He called back to Yu Ling and told her to go to Uncle Chen. She should tell him what the guy's caught in the formation and to forward help. She should do it as soon as she can. Chen Feng is worried that things might get out of hand. Sima Shun was shocked that he even took the time to call someone back. What century they're living in now? Phones work much better than secret techniques. You have to believe in science. Uncle Chen appeared there, resenting that children at this time was simply impossible. How dare he even dare to start a fight in the territory of a righteous sect? Xiaohu demanded that these rascals obediently follow him. Otherwise, let them blame themselves. He will then call their parents back and tell them to come for their souls. Chen Feng started laughing that Brother Hu had a black eye. Xiaohu didn't want to talk to him either. Uncle Chen was thankful that he didn't make things worse. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to figure it out. Chen Feng isn't that petty. It's just a couple of kids, so he won't report it to the organization. It would be difficult to explain everything in front of their parents. He also revealed that the master from the eldest uncle would like to see Chen Feng a little later. He'd like to ask them something too, so he asked me to take him. The protagonist apologized for being late, because those kids were behaving inappropriately. Xuanling replied that he didn't keep them waiting long. He guessed that Xuan Feng, whose reputation ran ahead of the master, was standing in front of him. The old man replied that this young man himself holds a lot of promise. Right now, they were in the era of cultivation decline. Therefore, they wanted to know how the main character had reached the QE energy consolidation level. First, he wanted to know why Divine Master Zhang had destroyed the spiritual arteries of this planet and brought an end to cultivators. A righteous sect has a heritage that has been preserved for thousands of years. Therefore, such respected old people would know the reason. They could answer any of his questions except this one. This whole matter concerns the future of the sect, so they can't say anything. I guess they're afraid their enemies will use it if word gets out beyond the sect, but it's just a story. No one will care about it. And how can he even rebuild the spiritual arteries if he doesn't know how they were destroyed? He only laughed. This young man really has great potential, but he shouldn't overestimate himself. Even if it was possible, Kunlun would have already done it. Though why should he tell the young man about it? That means he won't get an answer. In that case, it is pointless to continue the conversation. No one had reached the last stage of key consolidation for centuries. Chen Feng might be the last hope. He thinks so too. Therefore, he wouldn't give a hint otherwise. He really wanted to see if this guy could accomplish something if he left Kunlun alive. Suddenly, he looked at the time and realized that they could pick up the skins today. But the Ven had just ended. He was starting to get angry that he hadn't been told about this sooner. He wouldn't forgive his older brother for this. After that, these old men started fighting. The older one tried to argue that it was just an ordinary skin. But the younger one argued that it was an epic limited edition skin. He waited half a month for this. All the spiritual arteries flow out from Mount Kunlun. Could it really be the source of it all? Although he still has a feeling that it's not that simple. Going to the mountain could only be the first step in restoring the spiritual arteries. Yu Ling reported that Miss Wu is looking for a young master. It seems to be a serious matter. He returned home and inquired as to what had happened. Xiao Fan thought it was just ridiculous. He should remember that she is richer than him. She has a beautiful face and body. Suitors are lining up from as far as North Yang to Sakura Nation. But why is he always surrounded by women? If she wants to know, let her come closer. If Chung Feng wants to redeem himself, it's already too late. He flicked her forehead. Let him just try to do it again. It's easy for him to do, so let him watch. He flicked Yuling's forehead, and she asked what the young master was doing. Just a little more, Miss Wu would be touched by the master. Xiao Fan wanted him to pay for it. Chung Feng advised her to be more serious. Her dad just called. He's right at the mountain and wants to meet them. Chen Feng wondered that since he was in the sect, why didn't he just walk in? Then he remembered the bridge. Chen Feng asked Yuling to stay here, after which he carried Xiao Fan across the bridge again. This guy is everywhere, after all. He's interfering with their plans again. We have to get rid of Chung Feng at the sect elder's birthday party. Muzhou advised him to take his time, but since he was so eager to fight this guy and die, he could do it right now. The guy replied that he was just a little angry. They will launch simultaneous attacks on the outer and inner sides of the mountain. The righteous sect will not even realize that they have been attacked. The most powerful men of the dragon nations will be at the banquet. There's no turning back. Although if Muzhou needs this element, this kind of colorful bait suits him just fine. Inside the mountain, followers' room. Only after the battle, with Chen Feng, did he realize that prodigies like him still existed. If someone were to put more effort into training, he might not equal Chen Feng, but he would definitely reach the late stage. And the latter replied that he could just praise Chung Feng and not implicate him by making a fool of him. Xiao Hu should be ashamed of himself and work harder from now on. He shouldn't waste his precious time. Now that Chen Feng from the company is here, he has a feeling that there will definitely be something at the banquet. Who would dare disturb a righteous sect on their own turf? The organization must have just sent him as a representative. Had he forgotten how the White Lotus sect's sect master had tried to infiltrate the sect in the middle of the night a year ago? The master and elder uncle handled him. Xiaohu stopped them and sent this guy to the company. 200 years ago, the White Lotus sect flourished. They deceived many and brought destruction to the world. The great master could not watch those righteous sect suffer idly. He left the mountains and brought the White Lotus sect to collapse on his own. Since then, the White Lotus sect had been depleted and was no longer a threat. In addition to the pressure from the various forces, the spiritual weapon that the master had brought back from the White Lotus sect had also taken a huge blow. It was rumored that it could be activated by the White Lotus sect's technique, releasing incredible power. He didn't know that such a story was behind the sect's collapse. Xiaohu inquired about the name of the spiritual weapon. After all, he had lived for so many years in the mountains, so why hadn't he heard of it? A great master is definitely unbelievable. He couldn't believe that the White Lotus sect was defeated by a single person alone. Xiaohu perked up at the mere thought of it. But how would he know what kind of weapon it was? The older uncle was the only one who saw it. He was also the only one who knew where it was guarded. If Xiaohu knew all these secrets, he would stay on the mountain for a couple more years. They arrived at Wu Jianguo's place. Xiao Fan was stopped by a subordinate, for the master had ordered the young master of the Mu family to enter first. She wished him luck. Wu Jianguo offered to salute with him. Cheng Feng refused, for he thought that perhaps he didn't need it. The strongest of the new generation of dragon nations and an employee of the company. He is also the president of the MU group. The man sees that the protagonist has achieved a lot and is worthy of Xiao Fan. However, he is too young. He asked to let the young be young. Wouldn't it be fun if everyone was like himself? Wu Jianguo spoke to Cheng Feng's father on the phone. As Xiao Fan's father, he respects the protagonist's decision, but wanted to know something. How he plans to make Xiao Fan happy. Chen Feng can realize that this man does not really understand Soul Foundation yet. Does she look like a girl who will rely on others? He knows her, so he was not against their relationship. However, he has one condition. He hopes that Cheng Feng can leave the company. As the father of his daughter, he doesn't want to see her worrying every day. Afterward, he offered to drink tea. Mr. doesn't know Chen Feng well enough to say that. He has a personal reason for being in the company. Besides, the Mu family needs the company's protection. He won't need to be in the company anymore if their families are reunited. There's something else. It's not an offer. It's just informing the guy. Wu Jianguo has the right to fire Cheng Feng as the owner of the company's shares. Judging from how much information the company has, the man should also know what kind of strength Cheng Feng possesses. He can really fire Cheng Feng. Although the guy thinks he and the other shareholders won't be able to sleep well at night after that. He saw the message that Cheng Feng's strength was above the first stage. If he really is as strong as he says, in that case, the man needs to reconsider his relationship with Xiao Fan. Chen Feng was surprised that he was still demanding his submission. If he leaves Xiao Fan, he will work with the Mu family. Otherwise, Wu Jianguo will do everything to destroy the Mu faction. Cheng Feng would advise him not to do so. In any case, no one in the Dragon Nation was capable of stopping him. He doesn't want to be Xiao Fan. In fact, she was the one who pestered him and they never met. Now Cheng Feng is late and can't even say that this meeting was pleasant. After which, he said goodbye. He was stopped by a security guard who informed him that Mr. Wu had not finished speaking, who said he could go. He had heard that Cheng Feng is the youngest grandmaster of the Dragon Nations. But even so, he has no choice but to submit to a late-stage cultivator like him. Then Fen just kicked him with his foot and began to argue that this man would be dead if it weren't for Mr. Wu. How dare some late-stage brat bark at him? Mr. Wu better keep his subordinates on a short leash. Xiao Fan inquired what happened and why they were fighting. Chen Feng said his father told him to dump her, especially when she's the one sticking it to him. So what's his fault here? He wanted to talk to this old guy. Cheng Feng tried to calm her down and asked her to leave him out of it. He may be half a step away from price consolidation, but he still can't seem to beat his little brother. He would have crippled his life if they weren't from the same sect. After which they noticed the movement of the uninvited guests. It's literally perfect timing, as the younger brother wanted to teach them a lesson. Xuanling is already over 100 years old, and he's acting like an impulsive child. If he had gotten rid of this bad habit, he would have achieved qi consolidation many years ago. Let the kids play. Old people don't need to get involved. He wondered if these people had come here because of the righteous sect, or for Chen Feng. Let the guy worry about it himself. It's not like he thought the company would pay him to do nothing. But right now, they were in the form of talking about their sect. Therefore, Xuanling was worried. Suddenly, he declared that his elder brother had destroyed the teapot that had been carefully kept for 100 years. At least let them leave him some. After which, Xuanfeng asked why he was the one staring at him. Xuanling asked who else he was staring at. They continued their battle. The junior used the black tiger heart-wrenching technique. The elder couldn't believe that this elder was playing so dirty. After which, he used the golden soul-piercing finger. I never thought that an elder and a sect leader would fight at this hour. These old men are quite frivolous. Having reached the pinnacle of martial arts, they once again comprehended pure simplicity and truthfulness. The real essence of martial arts is in their every move. This is simply enough to learn from them. Is it really that unbelievable? He moves so much in the clubhouse, but he hasn't felt a real fighting spirit yet. Muzhou said that 2 will stay here to follow these old men, and the others will follow after him. The man asked if they could act on the situation if there was something unexpected. The current sect leader has given his consent, but they must not show their faces to Muzhou if they are exposed. Otherwise, let them prepare to die. He doesn't think they should wait any longer. We have to get ready. Huli replied that they should watch them. The sect leader would have them quartered if they violated his plan. We mustn't forget that there is also a Master Hu inside Hu Li. It's as simple as that. We need to stop Chen Feng out of the mountains so he doesn't disrupt their plans. Hu Li will be in the leader's good graces if his plan succeeds. Then he can brag about it to the Hu family when they return to the northeast. Or if he was scared. If Hu Li was scared, he wouldn't have ambushed this asshole. If it wasn't for third Miss Hu's wrong judgment, how would that little asshole become young Master Hu? When Tianlun takes control, he will ban Chen Feng in the mountains even if he doesn't defeat him. After which, he noticed Cheng Feng and Xiaofan. He summoned Master Hu Tianlun to seize this body. He didn't like Hu Li disturbing him in the middle of the night. He really hoped it was on important business. Otherwise, he would eat a man's heart. He revealed that he had encountered someone that he would not be able to defeat. Therefore, Hu Li has no choice but to ask Master Hu for help. The master took over his body completely. He felt the man's aura. That was why he was angry, because he thought that this short man was trying to kill him here. Hu Li explained that there was no need to fight him face to face, just hold him off for a while. But for that, he asks for 10 fried chickens, 10 packs of cigarettes, and a bottle of liquor. Hu Li will make sure these gifts are placed on his altar. The master will simply ruin him so soon. Her father is always trying to impose his outdated views on her. Cheng Feng felt that she should be more understanding. He is trying for her good anyway. Suddenly she noticed that he had stopped. Chen Feng wondered if she hadn't noticed that they were walking in circles. The normal walk from the main hall to the bridge takes about 20 minutes. Now they've been walking for an hour and still haven't gotten there. Xiaofan asked, wondering if they were being chased. They're in a righteous sect. What ghost would dare to haunt them? This power doesn't seem to come from a spell. Cheng Feng picks up a small trace of a spiritual being. Xiaofan didn't know what they should do now. These people might kill them after all. She was so scared that she started to ask Chen Feng for help. That's probably not why they're here. They want to keep these 2 on the outside, so use the power remotely to avoid detection. However, because of that, the spell is weak. A guy can easily deal with them. They just have to contact Uncle Chen and the others. After which, the protagonist opened the GPS. Others would have called an exorcist to break the spell. But he took the easy way out. Why go to all that trouble when there's a convenient option? Sometimes it's good to rely on technology. At the next intersection, you need to turn left. Cheng Feng mentioned that as a girl, she should be more conservative. But Xiaofan refused. She is with him forever no matter what. The way this magic confuses people is similar to the illusion technique. Suddenly, she noticed Master Hu running. She demanded that Chen Feng catch him and bring him to the company. How dare he make her walk for so long? She'll have him quartered. That girl is too aggressive. No matter where he comes from, he won't last long in this cult. Right now, they just need to watch. Hu Li inquired why don't they think of another way. He's no match for that man. Besides, they've already been spotted. We need to get out of here now. He told the runt that he would be the first to leave. So let him not forget that he had inconvenienced the master today. If it wasn't for the spell he used to trick the guards, he wouldn't have escaped so easily. We need to hide. As soon as Mom gets here, he'll be on house arrest for at least 6 months. The 2 of them collided. Xiamashun asked who he was and where he was going. Hu Li gave his name and also said that he was from the White Lotus sect. The man wondered who he was to ask so many questions. Let him keep his nose out of other people's business. So, it turns out this is the second son from the Hu family, who disappeared 3 years ago after a failed attempt to defeat young Master Hu. Who would have thought that he would decide to join the White Lotus sect? Right now, he needed a hiding place anyway. Therefore, he could also go to this sect. It turns out he knows a lot about Hu Li. The man was curious about who he was, and could see that he was also in trouble himself. And now he's fleeing for his life. Sima Shun introduced himself, and he is in this position because of Chen Feng. He would have killed that man with his own hands if he had the chance. So he's facing the third son of the Sima family. If he has nowhere else to go, why not join the White Lotus sect? He also said he has a beef with Chen Feng. The White Lotus sect does too. They have the same goal. Then they can join forces and devise a plan against that guy. Yu Li wanted him to die as well, but even Master Hu Tianlun was no match for him. Moreover, they are now in a righteous sect. Therefore, they can't even lay a finger on him. They may be hard to deal with, but they can certainly deal with his entourage. They can't lay a finger on Ms. Wu. She has too many people behind her, but that girl, if he remembers correctly, is only halfway to becoming a master. They can pull Chen Feng away from the sect and capture her. No matter how strong he is, he still only has 2 hands, and they will have the advantage in numbers. Since the Wu family has great influence and connections in northern Yang, he asked to see who exactly would be here as guests. Xiao Fan asked, wouldn't bringing in a company be more effective? I mean, he's only part-time. If he's running to the boss every 5 minutes, how are they going to treat him? And how he's going to get promoted in the future? She agreed to take a look when she gets back. She was glad that the young master had finally returned. Had Mr. Wu delayed them? But that's not the point. They just got into trouble on the way back. He wished them a good rest and retired to his room. The girls went to bed. Xiaofan wondered if Yuling liked that jerk. She's just serving him and doesn't even dare think of such a thing. She's still trying to be quiet. It's all over her face. Well, Xiaofan should warn her. With Chen Feng's status and abilities, not all girls would be able to linger around him. If she really likes him, she should keep it a secret for now. Let her wait until Xiaofan doesn't like him. Suddenly, another weapon flew at them. Yuling immediately covered Xiaofan's back. They don't know how many those people are or where they are from. Therefore, Yuling will buy some time and she should go to the master. Xiaofan asked that she should be careful to them as well. After that, the girls ran outside and Yuling told her to run. The rest is on her. But they won't be able to leave while he's here. After that, the guy activated the formation. Zima Jun wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for them. Even if he falls, he would drag them with him. Xiaofan advised her to protect herself first, no matter what happens. This guy is getting farther and farther away from the right path. She's not as strong as the young master, so she can't break this formation. She can only beat with this Shima Jun. Ever since he was a child, no one could stop him if he wanted something. Only his mother could talk some sense into her. Yuling immediately pounced on him. This guy won't be able to escape. Young master didn't take him to the organization to save the sect's trouble, so she'll do it herself. The brick hit him right in the face. It really pissed him off that this girl dared to hit him. Even his parents didn't do that. Looks like she's going to give him a lesson in manners today. His mom's not the only one who can do that. Those who make mistakes must be punished. His body already had Master Hu informing this young lady that she was too careless, after which she fell asleep and fell. Huli has already disturbed him twice today. Now let him double his offerings. He would even want to put black stockings on this beautiful girl. Huli picked her up and told her to stop these vulgarities. We have to take her away. Then he can dress her up however he wants and as much as he wants. We have to leave now.